Chapter 104. No one knew what Ning Fan had done in the stone chamber. As the date of the battle between Ning Fan and Bai Fading approached, many older experts began to rush to Sinister Sparrow Sect, waiting for this rare battle. A square purple jade platform was suspended in the sky above the outer valley of Sinister Sparrow Sect. It was specially built by Sinister Sparrow for this battle. This purple jade platform was very similar to the jade platform of Heavenly Beast Sect in the past. This also marked that Sinister Sparrow Sect had officially become the #1 evil sect in Yu Country after the destruction of Heavenly Beast Sect. There were old experts like Revered Bai and new young experts like Ning Fan in the sect. Sinister Sparrow Sect's prestige was like the sun in the sky. Streaks of flowing light streaked across the sky. The harmonious spirit old monsters traveled on their own in the sky. The wealthy ones came on the immortal cloud, and the famous gold core old monsters came on the ships and traveled in a grand manner. The 500 Eagle Guards of Sinister Sparrow Sect were responsible for maintaining the security of Sinister Sparrow Sect and receiving the guests. Each of the Eagle Guards was at least at the 6th level of the vein opening realm. They all had an indifferent expression on their faces as they rode on their flying eagle demonic beasts to receive the vein-opening realm guests to the floating jade platform. The commander of the Eagle Guards, Eagle Yang, was in charge of receiving those with high status. Eagle Yang was a middle-aged man with a scar on his face. He was wearing black armor and was riding on a 3-zhang-long silver eagle. Whenever he saw an expert flying towards him, he would immediately greet them. However, his expression and attitude were different according to the opponent's cultivation base. As a late harmonious spirit elder of Sinister Sparrow Sect and the commander of the Eagle Guards, Eagle Yang had his own pride. To the harmonious spirit experts, he would only greet them with a smile. Only to the gold core experts would he greet them. Eagle Yang was even more respectful towards the top 10 experts of Yu Country and even the more respected old ancestor level experts of Yu Country. Commander Eagle Yang, nice to meet you. I'm an elder of Purple Light Sect, Song Hang. So it's Elder Song Hang, nice to meet you. Eagle Yang put on a fake smile because Song Hang was only an intermediate harmonious spirit elder. This old man is Qing Qingzi, a rogue cultivator. Nice to meet you, Commander Eagle Yang. Oh. So it's fellow Qing Qingzi. Fellow Taoist, please follow me to the purple jade platform. Eagle Yang's tone eased slightly. This Qing Qingzi was an early golden core cultivator. Although he was a rogue cultivator, he was not to be underestimated. I am Lady Yunhua, here to attend Sinister Sparrow Sect's grand meeting. Hiss. I didn't expect Madam to come to my sect to watch the battle. Please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. Eagle Yang's gaze was respectful. Occasionally, he would look at Madame Yunhua's delicate body and swallow his saliva. Lady Yunhua was known as the #1 beauty in Yu Country. Although her cultivation was only at the late harmonious spirit realm, there were very few male cultivators who could remain unmoved in front of her. Moreover, her husband was the famous old ancestor of Fire Cloud's sect in Yu Country. It was a tradition in the cultivation world for beauties to marry old monsters. Moreover, his identity was something that Eagle Yang did not dare to slight. The only thing that puzzled Eagle Yang was why the dignified Lady Yunhua would come to a place like Sinister Sparrow Sect. One should know that Fire Cloud Old Ancestor was a very narrow-minded person. He would never allow his wife to be spied on by any man. He had always forbidden Lady Yunhua from leaving Fire Cloud Sect. Since Lady Yunhua was here, it must be an order from Fire Cloud Old Ancestor. Fire Cloud Old Ancestor had something important for her to do. This matter must not be known by anyone, including the sect master and the higher-ups of Fire Cloud Sect. Bah! Why should I meddle in other people's business? If I get involved in unnecessary trouble, the consequences can be imagined. Eagle Yang shuddered when he thought of the scariness of Fire Cloud Old Ancestor. He immediately shifted his gaze away from Lady Yunhua's delicate body. The time was half a month later than the time of the battle, but the main character hadn't appeared yet. The guests were happy to wait. Anyway, cultivators didn't lack a few days. A few days wasn't even enough for them to go into seclusion. With so many old monsters gathered here, naturally, they would exchange their cultivation experiences. Perhaps, this was the reason why many old monsters attended the grand meeting. But there are so many old monsters this time. Eagle Young shook his scarred face and sighed. Immediately, a faintly discernible silhouette appeared behind him and said indifferently, "Of course. These experts are naturally here to support this old man." The voice appeared without any warning. Eagle Young felt a chill down his spine. He immediately turned around and heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the person who spoke was someone he knew. In the cultivation world, it was extremely dangerous for one to be invaded from behind. Even if it was in the territory of his own sect. Eagle Young greets revered Bai. Eagle Yang's eyes swept across Bai Fading's body, revealing a trace of fiery passion. Revered Bai's cultivation base had improved again. He was afraid that Revered Bai's cultivation base had already touched the bottleneck of late Gold Core realm. Dispense with the formalities. Is Ning Fan here? Bai Fading squinted his old eyes and said in an old-fashioned tone. And no. Elder Ning seems to be still in seclusion. Humph. What an impolite fellow. How dare he make Senior wait for him? Bai Fading knitted his brows in dissatisfaction. He purposely came out of seclusion half a month later so that Ning Fan would have to wait for him for half a month to grind down Ning Fan's spirit. He had never thought that Ning Fan would be so arrogant as to come out of seclusion even later than him. Yes. That Elder Ning is really rude. How dare he make Revered Bai wait for him? Eagle Young smiled apologetically. Of course, he would do whatever Bai Fading said. But as soon as his words came out, a sense of crisis that was even sharper than when Bai Fading appeared came from behind him. For a moment, not only Eagle Young, but also Bai Fading's eyes revealed a slight shock because even he didn't know how and when the person appeared. Oh. Commander Eagle Young seems to have a lot of complaints about me. A teenager in white robe and black cloak appeared behind Eagle Young without any warning. His face carried a vague smile, but when he met his eyes, Eagle Yang's heart shuddered. He had an illusion that he would die as long as Ning Fan willed it. Elder Ning, Eagle Young misspoke. Please forgive me, Elder Ning. Scared. Very scared. This was the first time Eagle Young was so close to Ning Fan. Only now did he realize how terrifying Ning Fan was. It turned out that Ning Fan's reputation wasn't baseless. It was earned with his true strength. Hee. What's wrong? Commander Eagle Young doesn't need to be flustered. Senior Bai, judging from your condition, it seems like you have just come out from seclusion. Your magical power hasn't recovered to its peak yet. It seems like you still need a few days to adjust your chi. Junior Ning Fan will be waiting for you on the Amethyst Sky platform. I like your title of Revered Devil very much. Ning Fan cupped his fists and flew away with a sway of his body. Bai Fading's facial expression turned extremely ugly. How could he not hear the sarcasm in Ning Fan's words? Ning Fan was mocking him for being disrespectful and speaking ill of a junior behind his back. Humph. You can only be arrogant for now. During the battle, I will let you know the consequences of offending a senior. Bai Fading said with hatred. The moment Ning Fan appeared, Lady Yunhua, who was chatting with the others lazily on the jade platform, suddenly raised her eyebrows in surprise. Could this kid really be like what my husband said? If so, I will complete my husband's task. The bet is starting. Place your bets. On the Amethyst Sky platform, a young man who looked like a beggar was wildly setting up a bet. On the Sky platform, many cultivators had nothing to do while waiting to watch the battle. So they set up their stalls and exchanged their useless magical treasures and pills with others. However, this was the first time they heard of a beggar setting up a bet. The young beggar had messy hair and ragged clothes. Although his clothes were dirty, his facial features were quite handsome. His beard was unkempt, which made him look somewhat masculine. As soon as they heard that this beggar was going to start a bet, many bored cultivators gathered around him to see what he was going to bet on. The bet is starting. The bet is starting. Fellow Taoists, quickly take out your immortal jades. It's a small bet for a big bet. The beggar raised his voice as if he was afraid that others couldn't hear him. Immediately, a few old monsters on the amethyst sky platform showed their displeasure. What's this kid's cultivation base? How dare he try to please the crowd? A late harmonious spirit old monster said sternly. Early harmonious spirit, should we kill him? Another intermediate harmonious spirit devil cultivator said plainly. Forget it. This is the territory of Sinister Sparrow. Don't cause any trouble. The beggar didn't seem to know that his loud voice had caused a lot of trouble. His expression was still as indifferent as before. Many experts were interested in betting. This was something that could only be seen in the mortal world. It could be considered as an experience. Hee hee. Fellow Taoist, since you are starting a bet, what are you betting on? How are you going to bet? Many old monsters asked with a smile. Oh, haha, I forgot. Today, I, Shu Buyun, am starting a bet. Naturally, it's about something improvised. Let's bet on the battle between Bai and revered Bai and Ning Fan. What do you think? Hiss, each of the old monsters' expression changed. This unknown early harmonious spirit beggar had the guts to bet on the battle between Ning Fan and revered Bai. Regardless of the odds, betting on the outcome of the battle might offend some people. Forget it, let's listen to the odds first. Each of the old monsters craned their neck, waiting for the beggar's next words. However, the beggar only hummed a tune and didn't say anything else. Cough cough cough. Fellow Taoist, you forgot to tell us the odds. How are we going to bet? An old monster reminded him. Oh. I forgot again. I'm sorry, my memory isn't that good. Oh right, what are we betting on? I forgot. Aren't you betting on the battle between revered Bai and Elder Ning? An old monster said unhappily. So that's how it is. How about this, I will write the odds on the board so that I won't forget about it. The beggar patted his storage pouch and took out an old wooden board. There were all kinds of bets written on it. It seemed like the beggar always gambled here. He used his finger as a blade and used his magical power to cut off the surface of the words. He then took out a brush and dipped it in saliva. There was no ink, but he could still write on the wooden board. Hiss. This wooden board is a 10,000 years heavenly Nanmu. This is the divine brush. It can create words without ink. I forgot to set up a bet again. You asked me if I have money. Are you kidding me? Look at my attire, do I look like I don't have money? His voice was raised by an octave, making it a little sharp. Each of the old monsters showed a look of disdain. You're dressed like a beggar. From your appearance, you obviously don't have any money. If it wasn't because of the beggar's 10,000-year heavenly Phoebe wood and the stroke of God, none of the old monsters would talk to him. Feeling everyone's disdain, the beggar seemed extremely dissatisfied. He frowned and patted his storage pouch, taking out a shabby earthen basin. There were 10 immortal jades in it. These are my belongings. Tell me, is it enough for the bet? I will use these immortal jades to bet. 10 immortal jades. Are you messing with us? Each of the old monsters showed a look of displeasure. 10 immortal jades was impossible to bet. Was he trying to get something for nothing? Are you all blind? These are 10 immortal jades. The beggar showed a look of disbelief. This is 10 immortal jades. There is no 11th immortal jades. Bah! Nonsense. No matter how poor I am, I won't be so poor that I only have 10 immortal jades. Treasure cornucopia, pour it out. The beggar showed a look of anger. He pointed at the earthen basin and turned it upside down, pouring out 10 immortal jades. But when the 10 immortal jades left the basin, there were still 10 immortal jades left. 10 immortal jades were poured out, and there were 10 more. In an instant, the ground was filled with immortal jades, there were thousands of them. Who said I don't have money? I will smash you to death with money. The beggar shouted. All the old monsters present were shocked. Chapter 105. According to the legends, the cornucopia was in the hands of the Rain World's divine emperor. It was said that all the wealth in the world was contained within it. I'm afraid that the earthen pot in front of me is the cornucopia. No, it must be the cornucopia. 10 immortal jades that can never be used up. If a cultivator had the leisure to spend 8 to 10 years on it, it wouldn't be a dream to have millions of immortal jades. How is this a beggar? He's obviously a local tycoon. This person must have a respectable status in Rain Palace, although his cultivation base was low and his memory was terrible. Alright, fellow Taoist Shu Buyun has the cornucopia. I bet 1,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan's defeat. Another 100 immortal jades on Ning Fan's draw. I bet 3,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan's defeat and 1,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan's draw. I bet 5,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan's defeat and 1,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan's draw. One by one, the old monsters started to bet on both sides, both on Ning Fan's defeat and a draw. All of this was to be cautious. Even if no old monster thought that Ning Fan had the strength to fight Revered Bai to a draw, it was still better to be cautious. What if? What if Revered Bai found his conscience and ended the match in a draw? In that case, even if he lost one, he could still make a profit. In short, it was a sure win. This beggar, Shu Buyun, must have too much money to burn his hands. That's why he used the cornucopia to give away his wealth. AI, he's really a good person. But it makes sense. He has the cornucopia with him and his money can't be used up. Perhaps he's giving away his wealth to comprehend and break through to the intermediate harmonious spirit realm. This person must have a profound background. Although his cultivation base is low, he mustn't be provoked. There's a void fragmentation expert in Rain Palace. He could flatten Yu country with just a thought. No one bet on Ning Fan's victory. Even those young disciples who supported Ning Fan's victory also bet on Ning Fan's defeat under the temptation of benefits. The news of the beggar's gambling spread like wildfire in Sinister Sparrow's sect. No one would refuse an unexpected fortune. When they heard that the beggar was a divine guard of Rain Palace, all of them gave up the thought of killing him and robbing him, even though he was only a harmonious spirit expert. The only thing that bothered the gamblers was that the beggars had a bad memory. Therefore, once they placed their bets, they had to write down a voucher to prevent the beggars from reneging on their debts. Immediately, dozens of old monsters took turns to monitor the beggar, fearing that he would run away with the money. The people of Rain Palace couldn't be offended, but at the very least, after winning the bet, he couldn't not pay the money. This was the bottom line. When this matter reached Bai Feidong's ears, a complacent expression appeared on his face. Countless old monsters had bet that he would win and no one had bet that he would lose. This was a good thing. I bet 10,000 immortal jades that I will win. He would be a fool if he didn't take the benefits. He took out his entire fortune and placed a heavy bet, not even betting on a draw. This was confidence. He believed that he would definitely win. If he won the bet, he would have to return 10 million immortal jades. Even a void fragmentation realm expert would be tempted by such a huge amount of immortal jade. This was a windfall, but Bai Feidong didn't expect the beggar to pour 10 million immortal jades from a small pot. How long would that take? If he only poured 10 immortal jades at a time, he would only ask for 100,000 immortal jades from the beggar after that. That would be considered as giving face to the Rain Palace. If he took more immortal jades, it would be a crime for him to have too many immortal jades. If he was targeted by the nascent soul cultivators of other countries, it would be a disaster and the loss would outweigh the gain. Besides, taking less immortal jades would also be considered as a kind gesture to the Rain Palace. As a matter of fact, most of the old monsters had the same thought as by fading. This was the prudent way of life of the old monsters. One shouldn't go to the extreme. Gradually, almost all the cultivators on the Jade platform had bet on Ning Fan's defeat or a draw. The beggar revealed a bored look and looked at those who placed their bets with disdain. This time, I'm going to make a fortune, thanks to that Ning Fan. His heart was filled with complacency. He was happy that he had thought of such a way to earn money. Everyone in the world was blinded by ignorance, but he, Yun Bushu, could see that Ning Fan was hiding his strength with just a glance. He liked this kind of battle where there was a great disparity in strength. It was the best chance for him to earn money. Moreover, it was also a chance to observe Ning Fan. Is this person the one Big Brother is looking for? His eyes flashed with a rare radiance. But at this moment, a lady in blue walked over gracefully and placed a bet. Immediately, the beggar retracted his radiance and revealed a roguish look. What do you want to bet? Ning Fan wins. 10,000 immortal jades. The lady in blue said firmly. The beggar's eyes lit up as he sized up the lady in blue. This lady was only an intermediate harmonious spirit cultivator. She shouldn't be able to see through Ning Fan's strength. Perhaps, there was another reason why she bet on Ning Fan's victory. She wanted to save Ning Fan's reputation even if she was going to lose. After all, everyone bet on Ning Fan's defeat. It was too unpleasant to hear. You have 10,000 immortal jades. The beggar sneered. I do. Dad, lend me your storage pouch for a while. The lady in blue pulled Sinister Sparrow's sleeve and came to the stall. Under Sinister Sparrow's bitter smile, she took away the 10,000 immortal jades that were equivalent to his life. May Air, although Dad is the sect master of Sinister Sparrow's sect, money can't be wasted like this. Dad! Are you just going to watch Ning Fan lose? Do you have the heart to do that? Lan Mei looked at the beggar with a bitter and hateful expression. This beggar was too hateful. How dare he humiliate my husband like this? If this person wasn't related to Rain Palace, I would have taught him a good lesson. Fine, I'll bet then. Sinister Sparrow's eyes recalled the day when Ning Fan killed Wang Yao. He seemed to have made up his mind. Although Bai Feidong had devoured the 4th grade cold chi, Ning Fan still had a chance of winning. Dad, you're the best. When Lan Mei was about to place the bet, a weak voice with a hint of anger came from the side. Me, I also bet that Brother Fan will win. I bet 100,000 immortal jades. Cici, give me the money. Little Ji he looked at the beggar indignantly as if he was her enemy. As for Lan Mei, she immediately turned her head with a hint of jealousy in her eyes. She naturally knew the lady in front of her. But when she saw that Ji he was an early harmonious spirit expert, even Lan Mei was slightly moved. She knew that Ji he had only cultivated for less than a year. She didn't even cultivate seriously. She had secretly inquired about the background of 7 Apricot City. Although she didn't mean any harm, she was just jealous. As for Lan Mei, she saw a pure and holy white-clothed lady standing beside Ji he. Her cultivation base was unfathomable. Her appearance wasn't inferior to her at all. Cici, this person seemed to be Ning Fan's cauldron. Ji he has reached the harmonious spirit realm. Cici is actually a gold core cultivator. Ning Fan's foresight is really good, but they actually bet 100,000 immortal jades. Damn it, I lost. No. I want to raise the bet. Dad, I also want to bet 100,000 immortal jades. Lan Mei said decisively. Cough cough cough, Dad has no more money, give it all, give it all. Under Sinister Sparrow's helpless gaze, Lan Mei took away all his storage pouches. This time, it was the beggar's turn to be in a difficult position. This time, I won't lose money, right? Ning Fan will definitely win. These women want to win 200,000 immortal jades from my hands. After deducting the money those old monsters gave me, I will only earn 100,000 immortal jades. I, Yun Bushu, am known as never losing. Am I going to lose money in Sinister Sparrow sect? No, I shouldn't be that unlucky. I, Yun Bushu, have never lost. His eyes revealed a trace of pride and arrogance. Even when facing Moksha Emperor, he had never admitted defeat. While he was deep in thought, another cold voice came faintly, turning Yun Bushu's pride and arrogance that had just risen into the air into a state of vomiting blood. Sinister Sparrow sect's disciple, Bai Lu, bet 10,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan's victory. Bai Lu's thoughts were complicated, but she still came. Sister Bai Lu, you are here too. You really have feelings for Ning Fan. Lan Mei smiled meaningfully. Bah! I have nothing to do with him. It's just that he will win anyway. Why can't I use his money to spend? Besides, this money is pooled together by the Sisters of Dual Cultivation Palace. Who doesn't want to win money? Bai Lu's expression was cold, but a trace of worry flashed across her eyes. It seemed like she wasn't so sure that Ning Fan would win. On the contrary, she was somewhat worried, but no one knew whether she was worried about the money or Ning Fan. Lan Mei still wanted to tease Bai Lu, but the next moment, a soft voice sounded, making the beggar want to cry but have no tears. I'm Yun Hua, I bet on fellow Taoist Ning Fan's victory. The bet is 100,000 immortal jades. As soon as the words came out, the purple jade sky platform was in an uproar. Ji He, Lan Mei, Si Wuxia and Bai Lu's eyes were filled with hostility as they stared at the voluptuous woman. What was the relationship between this woman and Ning Fan? Could it be? As for the other old monsters, they had a different thought. Compared to revered Bai, Fire Cloud's sect was more willing to befriend Ning Fan. Could it be because of the relationship between Ning Fan and Black Devil Ning of Ning City? Were they trying to curry favor with Black Devil Ning? Or perhaps it was because Fire Cloud's sect was fortunate enough to be the first to obtain Black Devil Ning's nascent formation pill. Chapter 106. Lady Yunhua was wearing a palace dress, looking graceful and graceful. Facing the hostile gazes of Lan Mei and the other women, she smiled tenderly. She saw through their thoughts and didn't explain anything. She bowed politely and took her leave. As for Sinister Sparrow, he immediately claimed that he was going to entertain Lady Yunhua and found an excuse to escape from Lan Mei's sight. What Yunhua left to the four women was only the back view of his peerless beauty. From afar, Ning Fan scanned the area with his spirit sense and understood everything that had happened here. Whether it was Ji He, Lan Mei, or Bai Lu's hypocrisy, all of them warmed his heart. He didn't care about the reputation of the bet, because he knew that after this battle, everyone who bet on his loss would regret it. There were only two people that he cared about, Lady Yunhua and the beggar stall owner. Ning Fan's eyes gazed deeply at Lady Yunhua's back with a strange expression. He had never met Lady Yunhua before and she was the wife of the dignified Fire Cloud ancestor. Naturally, she wouldn't have a romantic relationship with him. She must have been instructed by Fire Cloud ancestor to be nice to him, but why would a dignified Fire Cloud ancestor treat a puny harmonious spirit expert so well? To befriend the great-grandson of Black Devil Ning? If it was just for a nascent formation pill, the price she paid was a little too high. 100,000 immortal jades were enough to buy 2 nascent formation pills in other countries. Since Fire Cloud's sect did this, they must be showing goodwill, but why would they show goodwill to me? This matter bothered him, and when his eyes swept across the beggar stall owner, his heart shuddered. He had seen this person before. In 7 Apricot City, he was one of the 3 void fragmentation experts who chased away Moksha Emperor. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Why did this person come to Sinister Sparrow sect? Was it related to him? Or, was he here to cheat money? Ning Fan secretly scanned the beggar with his spirit sense and felt that this person's cultivation base was unfathomable. As for the beggar, there seemed to be a trace of indistinct aura flowing around his body, void spirit intent. When the void spirit intent lightly touched Ning Fan's spirit sense, Ning Fan felt as if his body was frozen. His sea of consciousness almost collapsed. In his mind, the scenes of the past suddenly began to reverse and be forgotten. This person is indeed the void fragmentation realm old monster I met the other day. Moreover, his void spirit intent is probably related to forgetting. Inside Ning Fan's body, a dim silver light emerged. He struggled violently to break free from the divine intent and withdrew his spirit sense. After pondering for a moment, his figure flickered and he appeared in front of the women. A dignified void fragmentation old monster actually came to the evil sect ere a gold core realm expert was present to set up a bet. This person was indeed an unusual one. When this person left 7 Apricot City that day, he used his magical power to heal the injuries of the 7 Apricot Devil cultivators. This made Ning Fan have a good impression of him. However, even though he had a good impression of him, he couldn't pretend that nothing had happened when this man used his reputation to cheat the old monsters of their money. Why don't I take a gamble too? I bet 50,000 immortal jades on Ning Fan. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and a pile of immortal jades appeared in front of the beggar. For an instant, the beggar wanted to cry but had no tears. In addition to Ning Fan's bet, it seemed like he wouldn't be able to earn any more money. He was afraid that he would have to compensate Ning Fan and the girls. As for the 4 women, when they heard Ning Fan's voice, they turned around in disbelief with different expressions. Brother Fan. I miss you so much. Ning Fan, you have come out from seclusion, Master, Humph. The last Humph was naturally from Bailu. She felt slightly relieved when she saw Ning Fan, but her pretty face darkened and she turned to leave. Her complicated expression fell into Ning Fan's eyes and turned into a trace of inexplicable meaning. Immediately, his arms were filled with a familiar fragrance. He, this little girl had started to grow after half a year. Moreover, this silly little girl had actually broken through to the harmonious spirit realm. She was born with the physique of bewitching bones. She was indeed monstrous. Brother Fan, this stinky beggar bet that you would lose. I'm so angry. He pointed at the beggar and complained. Ning Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't be angry, he will give us money anyway. This isn't the place to talk. Cece, let's go to our seats. Ning Fan pretended to be relaxed, as if he didn't know that the beggar was a void fragmentation expert. He pulled Lan Mei, He and Si Wuxie to leave. However, before they could take 2 steps, the beggar's eyes changed and revealed a trace of doubt. Then, he shook his head regretfully. Very similar, but there's no response from the clan Jade. This kid doesn't have the rain jade on him. He isn't the person that Big Brother is looking for. The clue of Ning family in Hai Ning has also been cut off. He waved his palm and took out a blue jade in the shape of a raindrop. He revealed a look of deep regret, but immediately, his eyes turned blank as if he had forgotten everything. What happened to me just now, huh? Why are there so many immortal jades? Ha! Those idiots must be giving me money again. I wonder if they are betting on Ning Fan's defeat or a draw. Let me see. Sinister Sparrow Lan Mei, 100,000 immortal jades, Ning Fan wins. Ning City He, Cece, 100,000 immortal jades, Ning Fan wins. Sinister Sparrow Bailu, 10,000 immortal jades, Ning Fan wins. Fire Cloud Sect Yunhua, 100,000 immortal jades, Ning Fan wins, and Ning Fan, 50,000 immortal jades, Ning Fan wins. Ah! How could this be? Why are there so many people betting on Ning Fan's victory? I can't earn any money anymore. I've suffered a huge loss. His eyes followed the direction where Ning Fan and the others left and murmured to himself. Similar. His back looks very similar to Big Brother Yun Tianjue, is it him? Did I meet him just now? Damn it. I've forgotten the result of the detection. Did the rain jade emit any light? It probably didn't. It's hard. 800 cultivation countries are looking for one person. When will they find him? Ning Fan didn't know about the beggar's words. He had heard about the Rain Divine Palace using the strength of 800 cultivation countries to search for one person, but he didn't know that this matter was related to him. After bringing Ji He and the other girls to their seats, Ning Fan's relaxed expression suddenly turned serious. The pressure that the beggar gave him was too great. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to feel that pressure. Not even the void spirit intent of the beggar could sense it. However, Ning Fan's sword consciousness wasn't any weaker than the void fragmentation realm. How could he not see it? The beggar's void fragmentation cultivation base could only be described as terrifying. Unless he reached the void refinement realm, he wouldn't even be qualified to face a void fragmentation old monster. Brother Fan, why didn't you teach that beggar a lesson? He raised her head indignantly. Silly girl, all right. Stay here with Cece and wait for me. There were some things that Ning Fan couldn't explain to Ji He. The more he knew, the worse it would be. His eyes shifted to the center of the purple jade platform. It was a battle arena that occupied an area of 1,000 zhang. There was no one there. Only Ning Fan and Revered Bai were waiting for them. Ning Fan, what are your chances of winning? If you aren't willing to fight, I can ask my father for your hand in marriage. Lan Mei bit her lips. These words were very unpleasant to those proud men. She was afraid that Ning Fan would blame her after hearing it, but she was also worried that Ning Fan would be bullied by Revered Bai. There's no need to worry too much. I will definitely win this battle. His gaze focused and an icy light flashed. He was exceptionally eye-catching in the crowd as he appeared in the center of the battle arena on the purple jade platform. Immediately, the entire battle arena was filled with people. Ning Fan has appeared. Next, we just need to wait for Revered Bai to arrive and the battle will begin. This is a peak harmonious spirit cultivation base. Hiss. When I saw him during the last test in Demon Sinister Forest, he was only a late harmonious spirit, half a year. This kid has actually broken through a small realm. Not only that, compared to the last time we met, this kid's magical force is obviously condensed and vigorous. He must have cultivated his cultivation method to an extremely high realm. This kid has undergone an extraordinary transformation in half a year. But unfortunately, his opponent is Revered Bai. AI, it's good that it's not enough. Young man, failure is always a good thing. The words of the crowd were either surprised, doubtful, praising or belittling, falling into Ning Fan's ears. However, these comments couldn't shake Ning Fan's state of mind. Wearing down my spirit, if my spirit is worn down, how am I going to stab Moksha Emperor's finger 100 years later? Perhaps it's better to hide my blade, but if I can't even defeat by fading, I won't be able to do anything 100 years later. He closed his eyes and placed his hands behind his back, feeling the different emotions in the eyes of countless experts. All kinds of situations in the world were playing out on this small purple jade platform. For 3 days, the sun rose and the moon set, but Ning Fan didn't move at all. He stood at the center of the jade platform, silently recalling the 4 words death to the monarch. His chi gradually became lower and lower, but it was getting more and more soul-stirring. He was as steady as a mountain, as deep as the water, as deep as a thread, as sharp as a sword, and as breathtaking as a rainbow. Bai Fading still hadn't arrived after 3 days, but many of the younger generation had issued a challenge to Ning Fan. Hong Qian, who was ranked 7th in the Green Devil ranking. Wu Ye, who was ranked 15th in the Green Devil ranking. Bai Bai, who was ranked 47th in the Green Devil ranking. Moreover, there was also a peak harmonious spirit expert, Zhong Mia, who was ranked second in the Green Devil ranking. The Green Devil ranking was a list of outstanding youths among the devil cultivators in Yu country. These youths were young and full of vigor. Under the instigation of Bai Bai, they came to challenge Ning Fan. Bai Bai inherited revered Bai's breadth of mind. He couldn't bear to see Ning Fan being in the limelight. Under his instigation, a few outstanding youths issued a challenge to Ning Fan at the same time. Ning Fan, do you dare to fight me? You claim to be the #1 cultivator below the Gold Core realm in Yu country. I don't believe it. Under Bai Bai's instigation, Zhong Mia revealed a devilish smile and took out his magical treasure, ready to attack at any time. Get lost. Facing Bai Bai and the others, Ning Fan didn't even open his eyes. He just stomped his feet on the ground. Immediately, countless white bone sword shadows shot out from the ground. There was a streak of blood-red sword light that danced in the shadows. The sword chi contained all the young experts including Zhong Mie. Ning Fan slashed out of the arena. As for Bai Bai, he was in an even worse state. His robe had been sliced clean by Ning Fan. The White Bone Mountain Sword Chi. Ning Fan could activate this sword with a point and a stomp. This sword chi wasn't something that anyone below the Gold Core realm could withstand. Ning Fan had already shown them mercy. Otherwise, they would have died under his sword. A single sword strike had defeated all the youths of Yu country. The so-called Green Devil ranking couldn't measure Ning Fan's strength at all. He didn't show a trace of pride when he defeated Azure Devil. He only felt that it was a matter of course. He still hadn't opened his eyes, but the trace of killing intent was enough to shake the hearts of the experts on the scene. The only ones who could make Ning Fan unleash his true strength were the old monsters. Bai Feidong, how long are you going to hide? Hide! This old man needs to hide. A ray of icy light descended from the sky. It was revered Bai. He glared at Bai Bai, who had lost all his face. This Bai Bai could be said to have completely lost his face. If it wasn't for Bai Bai's humiliation, Bai Feidong would have waited for a few more days to grind down Ning Fan's spirit before going on stage. He firmly believed that he wouldn't lose to Han Yuanji's disciple. However, it would be better if he could win easily. Facing Ning Fan, who had his eyes closed, he slowly stopped and said coldly from 100 steps away. Elder Ning, if you admit defeat now and hand over your supreme-grade magical treasure, you can avoid making a fool of yourself here. Bai Feidong's tone was as if he had already defeated Ning Fan. As he spoke, purple chi flashed in his eyes. Those old monsters who met Bai Feidong's gaze felt a chill down their spine. Such a cold gaze. Was this the power of the 4th grade cold chi? Only nascent soul old monsters were qualified to devour the 4th grade cold chi. Bai Feidong was able to devour the 4th grade cold chi when he was only an intermediate gold core expert, which meant that he could even fight a late gold core expert. Humph, this old Bai is still so meddlesome. He actually dared to fight a junior. On the seats of Great Void Sect, a late gold core elder, Elder Song Feng, looked at Bai Feidong with deep fear. He had once fought Bai Feidong to a draw, but now, he was afraid that Bai Feidong could win him by relying on the 4th grade cold chi. As for those who knew revered Bai's name, they were looking forward to witnessing revered Bai's means. Old Bai, have mercy, revered Black Yen Bai, the master of Yen Zhueyun, a black-robed old swordsman said in a clear voice. As a late gold core elder of Sinister Sparrow sect, Yen Zhueyun didn't want to see Ning Fan and Bai Feidong fight to the death. Although he didn't have a good impression of Ning Fan's old master, don't worry, he won't die. This old man will let him have 3 moves first. Bai Feidong's tone was extremely arrogant. With his current strength, he could even fight a late gold core old monster. If he was still afraid of a harmonious spirit expert like Ning Fan, then he would have lived his life like a dog. But as soon as his arrogant words fell, Ning Fan, who had been closed for 3 days, opened his eyes for the first time. A sharp and threatening killing intent flashed across his eyes. The tyrannical killing intent made all the old monsters on the scene suck in a cold breath and lose control of their minds. Bai Feidong, who was the closest to Ning Fan, was forced to take a dozen steps back by Ning Fan's gaze. Bai Feidong was surprised to find that after waiting for 3 days, not only did Ning Fan's spirit not decrease, it had reached its peak. Ning Fan's right palm suddenly waved. A huge white bone sword that was 7 feet long and 1 foot wide appeared in his palm. With a loud bang, the ground of the amethyst sky platform that was as hard as iron was smashed by Ning Fan's sword, leaving half a foot of cracks on the ground. I have been waiting for you for 3 days. Today, you will lose. His chi had reached its peak. This chi even made the illusory clouds in the sky show fear. At this moment, not only Bai Feidong was shocked, even the beggar stood up and slapped his thigh. This is the might of an immortal emperor. No, it's not, my senses are wrong. The beggar revealed a regretful expression. It was even more regretful than when he found out that Ning Fan wasn't the person he was looking for. A deep sigh could be heard. A battle between a harmonious spirit expert and a gold core expert shouldn't have surprised him, but at this moment, he was shocked by Ning Fan several times. Each of Ning Fan's means seemed to have an extraordinary background. If I knew this earlier, I would have bet on how many moves Ning Fan would use to win. I bet 3 moves. The beggar's eyes sparkled. This was the first time he became serious. But this was the first time in his life that the beggar was surprised because Ning Fan didn't use any magical technique. What he used was a body refining technique. Chapter 107. Ning Fan's body, which was 6 meters tall and equipped with a 7 meters gigantic sword, shone with a silvery light. Countless old monsters sucked in a breath of cold air when they sensed the heavy and murderous chi around him. In the Yu Kingdom, the 6-meter-tall body was considered an extremely ordinary body refining technique. However, when Ning Fan's body shone brightly with silver light, his ordinary 6-shang-tall body gave countless old monsters a sense of threat. This is the Silver Bone Realm. Some of the old eccentrics almost immediately cried out. They couldn't help but be shocked. If Ning Fan was really at the Silver Bone Realm, he would be able to fight against a nascent soul cultivator with just his physique. He would be the strongest in Yu country. However, some meticulous old monsters immediately discovered that even though the silver light around Ning Fan's body was strong, it was still far from what the rumors had described. The silver light that shrouded Ning Fan's body seemed to be converged into his bones. So it isn't the true Silver Bone Realm. That scared the hell out of me. The patriarch of the giant demon sect, Zhu Qing, was a late-stage golden core body tempering cultivator from Wu country. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He was passing by the country of Yu and heard of this event, so he came to take a look. He didn't expect to see such a shocking scene. After all, the members of the Great Devil sect cultivated the ancient body refinement technique, the Great Devil Technique. It was a devil technique that originated from the endless sea of the rain world. Even with his 500 years of bitter cultivation, he had only reached the stage where his body shone with silver light, which was enough to kill a golden core cultivator. Even so, it seemed to be slightly weaker than Ning Fan's silver light. Knowing that Ning Fan wasn't the real Silver Bone, the magnate heaved a sigh of relief, but his eyes showed a trace of admiration for Ning Fan for the first time. If one was not a body refinement cultivator, even if they knew that Ning Fan's silver light was extraordinary, they would not be able to estimate the true combat power of his physical body. It could be said that only the magnates knew that Ning Fan had the strength to destroy a gold core expert with a single punch. The strongest person below the gold core realm. Cough cough cough. The people of Yu country have underestimated this kid. In my opinion, this kid is invincible below the gold core realm. Even among the early gold core realm, there are only a few who can defeat him. The giant's evaluation was only based on the body refinement technique. If the magnates knew that Ning Fan still had many trump cards, they certainly would not come to a conclusion so easily. As for Bai Feidong, he obviously didn't know how powerful Ning Fan was. He could see through the cultivation technique of Ning Fan's 6 meters tall body and the extraordinary silver light, but he knew that he was strong enough to withstand Ning Fan's attack. Even if he couldn't block it, his speed would certainly be faster than Ning Fan's. Body refining technique required the assistance of escaping technique. Otherwise, no matter how strong his strength was, he wouldn't be able to hit his opponent. No matter how strong Ning Fan's physical body was, just the fact that he could not catch up to him had already determined his defeat. This kid is still too immature after all. Bai Feidong sneered. In front of him, Ning Fan's avatar wielded a giant sword and dashed forward like a mad devil. His speed was fast enough to catch up to an early Gold Core Realm cultivator, but it was not enough to deal with Bai Feidong. Moreover, to be safe, Bai Feidong still had a backup plan. He stomped on the ground, and the icy light on the ground stretched for 100 meters, condensing into an icy immortal cloud. The celestial cloud returned to his body, and with a stomp, it turned into an icy light. There were a total of 4 cloud tattoos inscribed on the celestial cloud. Hiss. 4-lined immortal cloud. This Bai Feidong actually has such an escape technique. Doesn't that mean that if an early nascent soul realm old monster doesn't use the teleportation technique, they won't be able to catch up to him? Not only that. This celestial cloud is the natal celestial cloud. Elder Song Feng of Great Void Sect said solemnly. Natal celestial cloud. As soon as these words were spoken, it instantly caused an uproar among countless cultivators. Rumor has it that only the celestial cloud of extremely high quality could be refined into a natal celestial cloud, which could be kept in one's body and be used to augment one's spirit. If there was a chance to upgrade the cloud tattoos, it could even upgrade the grade of the natal celestial cloud. This was an immortal cloud that could upgrade the grade of the natal celestial cloud. Elder Song Feng stared at Bai Feidong with fear in his eyes. Dozens of years ago, he had a battle with Bai Feidong that lasted for several days and nights without a clear winner. However, Bai Feidong didn't use this natal celestial cloud until the end of the battle. It seemed like even Song Feng, an old rival of Bai Feidong, had underestimated this person. As soon as the natal celestial cloud was summoned, Bai Feidong's speed was as fast as lightning. Almost immediately, he retreated 100 meters away from Ning Fan, not giving Ning Fan a chance to get close to him. At the same time, he patted his storage pouch and took out a flying sword that emitted an icy light. When the cultivators who knew the name of this sword saw it, all of them sat upright and still, their eyes filled with passion. This sword was extraordinary. His body was like an icy rainbow, as sharp as lightning. While he was flying, faint dragon roars could be heard. Hornless Ice Sword. This is one of Revered Bai's trump cards. I can't believe he used it in the first exchange. TSK, TSK, TSK. Look at Revered Bai's flying sword technique. This is the Wind Sword Pavilion of Chu, a mid-ranked cultivation country. It's called the Seven Sword Art. Rumor has it that only a few people in the Wind Sword Pavilion have learned this sword technique. Revered Bai is indeed worthy to be able to learn such a difficult sword technique. The sound of the crowd clicking their tongues could be heard, and Bai Feidong enjoyed the compliments from the crowd. The reason why he used the natal celestial cloud and the hornless ice sword in the first exchange was that Ning Fan's aura was too overwhelming and the silver light was too strange. Although Bai Feidong was arrogant, he was still cautious. However, when he saw that Ning Fan's speed couldn't catch up to him, he gradually revealed a trace of arrogance and the fear in his heart turned into a sneer of ridicule. A dignified cultivator actually learned from a boorish man, brandishing a sword and boasting about your strength. Plus, that frighteningly huge sword of yours looks really clumsy and funny. How can it hit a cultivator who is as light as a swallow? Fine, this old man will teach you what a sword is and what a flying sword is. Quick! This time, Bai Feidong no longer retreated. He kept the immortal cloud and his eyes were cold. Suddenly, he changed his incantation gesture. The hornless ice sword immediately let out a clear cry and a cold chi rolled towards Ning Fan. Being covered by the cold chi, Ning Fan could vaguely feel that his magical power had stagnated. His magical power had been suppressed by 70%. This is the spirit augmentation divine ability, Ice Lock. Ning Fan's eyes moved. He immediately saw through the technique of Ice Lock. Hornless Ice Sword. It was a high-grade early-rank magical treasure, one of Revered Bai's ultimate magical treasures. It came with the Ice Lock divine ability, which could suppress the magical power of the enemy. At least 30% of a harmonious spirit cultivator's magical power would be frozen. This spirit augmentation divine ability seemed to be a nascent realm spirit augmentation divine ability. Ning Fan didn't expect that Bai Feidong would have the chance to obtain it. This divine ability had locked Ning Fan's magical power. Immediately, the hornless ice sword flashed and pierced towards Ning Fan's heart. Bai Feidong's imperial sword technique was indeed unique, locking the enemy's cultivation base and delivering a killing blow. It was as if he was afraid of killing Ning Fan on the spot. However, if the flying sword pierced through his chest, he would be severely injured even if his vital points were avoided. Ning Fan's eyes flickered with a cold light. Although the cold chi of this ice lock was extraordinary, he had nothing to fear. A trace of black fire flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. Immediately, the ice chi that had frozen his magical power was burned into nothingness. Ning Fan, who had recovered his magical power, looked at the oncoming hornless ice sword. His eyes lit up. He waved his giant sword, stirring up a gust of wind and slashed at the tip of the hornless ice sword. Ning Fan's action immediately earned a sneer from Revered Bai, who was controlling the flying sword from afar. Ignorant. Your sword doesn't have any power and its grade is obviously lower than my flying sword. Your sword will definitely break if you clash with it recklessly. He sneered, but in the next moment, his eyes were filled with shock. It broke. It really broke, but it wasn't Ning Fan's giant sword that broke, but his high-grade hornless ice sword. When Ning Fan's giant sword released its full power, Bai Feidong discovered that the seemingly clumsy and ridiculous giant sword was actually a peak mid-grade magical treasure. When the giant sword collided with the hornless ice sword, a faint sound of thunder could be heard. It wasn't the giant sword itself that broke the hornless ice sword, but the lightning intent in the sword. It wasn't the spirit augmentation divine ability. What was this lightning? This is the heavenly tribulation lightning line of the lightning water. Although it's very faint, it can't be wrong. This brat is really lucky to be able to forge a divine weapon with this lightning water. The beggar's eyes flickered as he stared at Ning Fan without blinking. A sword with the force of 10,000 jin. The giant sword clashed with the hornless ice sword, producing a thunderous sound. Cracks immediately appeared on the hornless ice sword, its light dimmed and rolled backwards. Bai Feidong revealed a painful expression as he held the hornless ice sword. The sword was severely damaged and it would be difficult to repair it. Ning Fan, this old man has already shown mercy to you. Why did you destroy my magical treasure? Revered Bai shouted angrily. Mercy? Injuring me seriously is showing mercy. Fine. Today, I won't kill you, but I will injure you seriously. Show mercy. The power of spirit sense flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. At the next moment, he disappeared without a trace. Not to mention Bai Feidong, even the peak gold core experts on the scene, including Sinister Sparrow, felt a chill in their hearts. No one could detect where Ning Fan was hiding and where he attacked from. What level of invisibility technique is this? Bai Feidong's face turned ugly. Since he couldn't detect Ning Fan's attack route, he couldn't rely on the immortal cloud to escape to the right direction and widen the distance between them. While he was hesitating, Ning Fan's figure suddenly appeared behind him. In an instant, Bai Feidong's hair stood on end. He turned around and retreated with the immortal cloud. You can't escape. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. The giant sword slammed down fiercely. Lightning flashed and locked onto Bai Fading, freezing his retreating immortal cloud. It wasn't freezing, but the heavenly tribulation. This is impossible. After a cultivator broke through to the gold core realm, he would have to face the heavenly tribulation. The power of the heavenly tribulation varied from lightning to fire to wind, from small to big. But there was one thing in common: there was no way to avoid the heavenly tribulation. Because the heavenly tribulation was the heaven's might, it had the effect of locking on to the heaven's secret. No matter how smart a person was, could he hide from the heaven? There was no way to escape. Whether it was the immortal cloud flying escape, nascent soul instantaneous movement, or even the spirit severing great teleportation technique, none of them could escape from the heaven's fate. Once the heavenly tribulation had locked on to the heavenly tribulation, one's body would be immobilized, and one could only walk with one's physical body. What shocked Bai Fading wasn't only the heavenly tribulation, but also the heavenly might that Ning Fan's sword carried. Bai Fading wasn't the only one who was bewildered. Most of the old monsters were interested in Ning Fan's sword. However, Bai Fading didn't have the time to be surprised because Ning Fan's sword had already slashed down on his head. He didn't cultivate any body refining technique, so he couldn't escape from Ning Fan's sword light with his physical body. As such, he could only face it head-on. The distance was too close, so close that he couldn't use his flying sword to hurt the enemy. However, revered Bai was a famous figure for many years. Since he had no way to escape, he could only fight to the death. He was able to live until today because of his ruthlessness. With a ruthless look in his eyes, Bai Fading raised his hornless ice sword horizontally to meet Ning Fan's giant sword. In his point of view, no matter how strong Ning Fan's physical strength was, Ning Fan's magical power was still a few realms lower than his. It wouldn't be difficult for him to overcome Ning Fan's physical strength by suppressing his magical power. However, he had underestimated Ning Fan's physical strength. In this slash, the ancient beast wrist guard on Ning Fan's right wrist emitted a faint light. An ancient demonic chi emerged in Ning Fan's body, causing his physical strength to increase by 30%. It increased by 30%. One slash had the strength of 13,000 jin. As soon as the two swords collided, Bai Fading immediately felt the web between his thumb and forefinger tremble. The huge force passed through the sword to his arm and chest, causing his blood and chi to boil. Immediately, he spurted out a mouthful of blood. The hornless ice sword almost fell out of his hand, but in the end, he managed to block Ning Fan's sword. However, Ning Fan's attack was far from stopping. The second slash was followed by another slash. The second slash drew the power of lightning and the momentum of the sword was even stronger. Bai Fading was faintly afraid of this giant sword, but he had no choice but to face the second slash head-on. For this slash, Bai Fading used the gold core sword Chi, the heavenly devil sword, which he was not familiar with. He ignited his blood essence and barely managed to block the second slash. Even so, under the impact of the huge force, Bai Fading's blood and chi churned. He coughed out another mouthful of blood and his face began to turn pale. Apparently, his internal organs were severely injured. Fear rose in his heart. He bit the tip of his tongue and was ready to cast the blood escape art to break free from the lock of the heavenly tribulation. However, Ning Fan's sword was faster. It was obviously heavy and bulky, but in Ning Fan's hand, it was as light as a feather, as if it was his arm. For the third slash, Ning Fan also activated the sword intent, White Bone Mountain. Within 100 zhang radius, countless white bone sword shadows appeared. On the sword light of the giant sword, all the murderous intent converged into a blood-red line. The line was extremely illusory, but in Bai Fading's eyes, it was as if he had seen a ghost. Line. Line of law. What kind of sword chi is this? The third slash, the hornless ice sword, shattered. Bai Fading was swept away by the sword chi, spurting out blood. If it wasn't for the fact that he had cast the blood escape art, this slash would have seriously injured him. Even if he managed to retreat in time, the injury he suffered was definitely not light. His heart was filled with horror. He distanced himself from Ning Fan and immediately took out a purplish-red bead and crushed it. Immediately, his left eye turned purple and his right eye turned red. Both of his eyes emitted a power that could see through invisibility, causing Ning Fan's expression to change slightly. Breaking Illusion Bead. It can see through the invisibility of nascent soul cultivators and break all illusions of nascent realm formations. It's priceless. I never thought that you would use this item in a mere gamble. Ning Fan had yet to display his most powerful trump card, but by fating seemed to have been forced into a dead end. He had indeed become stronger. However, it seemed like it wouldn't be easy to win with just his physical strength. Bai Feiting couldn't be underestimated. This man had a lot of experience in killing. Although he was defeated by Ning Fan several times, he still managed to escape using various means. However, no matter how hard he struggled, he would still win. Ning Fan had the confidence and strength to do so. On the Purple Jade Sky platform, all the cultivators were shocked and they saw Bai Feiting being forced to use the Breaking Illusion Bead. Initially, everyone thought that Revered Bai could defeat Ning Fan with ease. But the fact was that Ning Fan was able to suppress Revered Bai with his tyrannical strength. Ning Fan's face wasn't red and he wasn't out of breath, but Revered Bai was already heavily injured. This is impossible. Bai couldn't believe it. He could explain his defeat to Ning Fan because his realm was lower than Ning Fan's, but how could his father, a famous figure with a cultivation base far surpassing Ning Fan, lose to a junior like Ning Fan? The pride in his heart was shattered for the first time, turning into a painful expression. Impossible. Bai clenched his teeth and persisted, but the truth couldn't be refuted. Outside the platform, Jihe's mouth was slightly agape. She had never thought that her brother Fan would be this powerful. Although her brother Fan had always been omnipotent in her heart, this was her first time witnessing Ning Fan's ruthlessness. Lan Mei, on the other hand, revealed a proud expression, as if she wanted to proclaim to the others that the valiant man on the platform was her husband. Only Si Wuxia's eyes darkened from time to time, as if she had thought of something, but it wasn't. She shook her head in annoyance, suppressing all the thoughts in her mind. Surprisingly, she didn't follow Jihe's lead like usual. The beggar, on the other hand, looked at Ning Fan's heroic spirit that could conquer the world with a solemn expression. Giant sword. Ancient fiend god. Is this kid thinking of dual cultivation? This kid has the immemorial devil vein. I wonder which one is better between him and my Rain Emperor Divine Vein. Forget it, he's still a junior after all. If I argue with him, I'll be at a disadvantage. Compared to Bai Feiting, the beggar was obviously more heroic and unrestrained. But when he thought that Ning Fan's family was about to win all the immortal jades that he had earned, he felt a heartache. His treasure bowl was fake, he came here to cheat the immortal jades. It wasn't easy for him to set up this bet. Could it be that all of it was going to benefit Ning Fan's family? As for the beggar, he couldn't help but cheer for Ning Fan in his heart, hoping that Ning Fan would win. If Ning Fan won, his capital and profit would offset each other. If Ning Fan lost, or drew, he would have to face 100 or even 1,000 times compensation. That wouldn't be a loss, but a complete loss. Chapter 108. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with fire. Within ancient chaos's memories, fiend gods that transformed into 30 kilometers tall and annihilated an abode star with a single punch could be found everywhere. After withdrawing his avatar, Ning Fan exhaled lightly and kept the giant sword. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out the Separation Slayer flying sword in the form of starlight. He looked at Revered Bai indifferently. Revered Bai's face turned gloomy. He instinctively felt fear and took half a step back. He was afraid. The clash of swords and the battle of breaking the technique with brute force had terrified Bai Feiting. He recited the incantation to sweep away the fear in his heart and restored his usual cold and arrogant expression. I still have the myriad soul banner and the purple loath ice frost. I have already used the breaking illusion bead. He can no longer use his body refining technique to get close to me. I will not lose. Revered Bai's face reappeared with pride and confidence. Although it was much weaker than before, this was the first time Ning Fan paid more attention to Revered Bai. Regardless of his cultivation base, Revered Bai was an old monster who had lived for hundreds of years. His state of mind was extremely calm. As for Ning Fan, the only thing he couldn't compare to Bai Feidong was his state of mind. Heart Devil. Ning Fan had yet to eliminate his Heart Devil and form his gold core. His state of mind was still lacking compared to Revered Bai. However, fighting wasn't about one's weakness, but one's strength. He had to use his strongest technique to fight for a result. Mortals were ignorant. They learned poetry, book, etiquette, and book of changes. As a result, they could only master a few of them and use them in the future. Gradually, Ning Fan's state of mind improved a little. His worries about his strength had been swept away. I can kill my enemies. That means I'm strong. Even if my state of mind, cultivation technique and age aren't as good as him. The harmonious spirit cultivators didn't understand the change in Ning Fan's vision and the improvement of his state of mind. However, the gold core cultivators knew that it was the sign of a breakthrough in his state of mind. This kid actually broke through his state of mind during a fight. His aptitude could be said to be monstrous. Only Bai Feidong's eyelids twitched as if he had regained his previous arrogance. He couldn't bear to see Ning Fan stealing the limelight. Deliberately mystifying. This time, I won't give you the chance to display your body refining technique. I'll let you know the terror of the myriad soul banner. His face sank. He slapped his storage pouch and took out a blood-red soul banner. It flickered with light and surged with killing intent. Ghostly cries came from it. It was unknown how many people Revered White had killed in his life and absorbed them into the soul banner. As soon as the soul streamer appeared, countless old monsters' eyes turned cold. Revered Bai had actually used his strongest magical treasure, the myriad soul streamer. Facing a harmonious spirit junior, he actually used all of his means. After a slight hesitation, Bai Feidong took out a black heavy armor and put it on. This is a gold mystic peak grade spirit equipment, the profound heavy armor. Its effect is to defend against the full attack of an intermediate gold core cultivator. The pupils of all the old monsters shrank, especially Venerable White's old enemy, Elder Song Feng, who clenched his fists and had a deep look in his eyes. Old Bai, I didn't expect you to have this spiritual equipment. If you had this during the battle that year, I would have been defeated by you. You really have hidden your strength well. After taking out the myriad soul streamer and the profound heavy armor, Bai Feidong's heart finally calmed down. These were his trump cards. If he still couldn't defeat Ning Fan, he might as well find a piece of tofu and kill himself. He sneered at Ning Fan, but he didn't see any fear in Ning Fan's eyes as he expected. Ning Fan's eyes glanced at the two magical treasures of Revered Bai and revealed a disdainful look. The myriad soul streamer. This streamer is made from the blood sacrifice of 10,000 souls. Once the 10,000 souls are unleashed, even a late gold core cultivator wouldn't be able to resist it, but it's easy to break it. The profound heavy armor, what a good tortoise shell. A peak gold mystic spirit equipment, only a step away from jade mystic. Unfortunately, it's not difficult to break it. In Ning Fan's eyes, there wasn't any feeling of blood boiling or nervousness, only calmness. Wang Yao could give him a sense of crisis and nervousness, but Revered Bai wasn't enough. It's still not too late for you to step down now. Ning Fan's tone was indifferent, but it was undoubtedly a huge joke to Revered Bai. Step down. This old man has already used my trump card, and you still want to step down? Ridiculous. Without the body refining technique, you are nothing. Bai Feidong shook the myriad soul streamer. Innumerable souls with hollow eye sockets and bloody mouths floated towards Ning Fan like dark clouds, wailing eerily. Each of these souls only had the strength of 7th level vein opening. It was easy for harmonious spirit and gold core cultivators to kill a single one of them, but the unique feature of this soul streamer was that it was inexhaustible. 10,000 ants could bite an elephant to death. 10,000 ghosts could devour immortals and Buddhas. If Ning Fan didn't break the main soul, he would be in danger. The refinement of a soul streamer required a main soul to control all the soul fragments. Only then would it become a high-grade soul streamer. Although Lu Ziqiao's soul refining streamer had many souls, it lacked a strong main soul. Therefore, its actual power was far inferior to Bai Fading streamer. As long as the main soul didn't die, the soul fragments wouldn't die. This was the real troublesome part of the soul streamer. When 10,000 souls appeared at the same time, you wouldn't be able to find out which soul was the hidden main soul in a short period of time. There was even a possibility that the main soul was hiding inside the streamer. Each of the old monsters outside the battlefield felt their scalp tingling when they saw the wailing of 10,000 souls. Soul refinement cultivators were the hardest to deal with. Body-seizing cultivators were the hardest to kill, and the longer the soul refinement cultivators lived, the more powerful they would become. 100,000 soul streamers, 1 million soul streamers, 10 million soul streamers, and 1 billion soul streamers. The more souls there were, the more changes the streamer would have and the more powerful it would be. However, the number of slaughter streamers would be too many. There's no need to watch this kid anymore. Elder Song Feng closed his eyes and frowned. He had suffered a great loss under revered Bai's soul streamer. Naturally, he didn't think highly of Ning Fan. As expected of revered Bai, this soul streamer is invincible among intermediate gold core experts. Lu Ziqiao, who was already a deacon disciple, had a fiery look on his face. Although he was proud and arrogant, he still admired revered Bai very much. But immediately, wails of ghosts were heard, causing Song Feng to open his eyes in disbelief, staring at the battlefield with his old eyes. Ning Fan didn't even try to avoid the Yin souls. He didn't even try to find the main soul. With just a flick of his finger, the separation slayer turned into endless starlight and disappeared in a flash. Immediately, the ghosts began to burn for no reason. In an instant, more than half of the 10,000 remnant souls had been burned. The ordinary Yin souls were still at a loss and instinctively felt fear. Among them, an inconspicuous red-clothed child's soul revealed a horrified look and fled towards the myriad soul streamer. This child was the main soul. Because he was the only soul that still retained its spirituality. Extinguish. Ning Fan's eyes and hands were quick. With a flick of his finger, the flying sword flashed. The child was hit by the sword's shadow and his soul vanished. Along with the destruction of the main soul, the myriad soul streamer in revered Bai's hand let out a sorrowful wail. Suddenly, it was filled with countless cracks. One by one, the Yin souls began to explode, turning into soul power and returning to the streamer. Similarly, the power of the myriad soul streamer was greatly damaged. No, no. My myriad soul streamer. Ning Fan, you've gone too far. Fall of the Ice Sun. Bai Fading kept the myriad soul streamer fiercely. His eyes glowed with purple light. Both of his hands were changing hand seals. Above the sky, cold qi condensed into 100 zhang large sun. However, this sun was formed by the ice qi, and it was purple cold qi, fall of the ice sun, a mid-grade core magical technique. Isn't this the technique that old monster Yang Qing was proud of? Rumor has it that old monster Yang Qing was killed by his enemy 100 years ago, and the whereabouts of this technique was unknown. So the one who killed this monster was revered Bai. This purple qi is the 4th grade cold qi, purple loath ice frost. Facing this technique, Ning Fan felt a trace of pressure for the first time, even if it was just a trace. His eyes turned cold. He knew that he could only use the black demon flame to destroy this ice sundae. It won't be difficult to destroy this ice sun with the second revolution of the dragon vortex fire. Ning Fan's eyes moved. When he was about to cast the technique, he heard the voice of the mysterious woman who had been sleeping in the yin-yang locket in his dantian. This is Purple Loath Ice Frost. Ning Fan, take this away. It's very useful to my sister. Take it away. I have a high chance of breaking this ice frost, but take it away. Do you really think that I am a nascent soul expert? Do you really think that I can take something away from by fading? Ning Fan smiled bitterly in his heart. I beg you, this item is very important to my sister. This was the first time that the mysterious woman pleaded with Ning Fan. Forget it. I will help you, but how do I take it away? Ning Fan's heart softened. This woman had saved him several times when he was in danger. Since she was begging him, how could he refuse? If the mysterious woman didn't have a way, then he would have to rely on himself to snatch it away. It wouldn't matter even if he had to expose his trump card. Once he used his trump card, it would be a piece of cake for him to snatch away the ice frost. There's no need to go through so much trouble. My sister has a way to absorb this ice frost and break this magical technique. You only need to rush into the ice sun. Ning Fan's eyelids twitched. This was a mid-grade core magical technique that was cast with the 4th grade cold chi. The 4th grade cold chi was only a step away from the heavenly frost cold chi. Should he trust this woman and risk his life? I beg you, just this once. Ning Fan's eyes revealed a resolute look. If he rushed into the ice sun, he would cast the sense defense art if the situation turned bad. He would certainly be severely injured, but he wouldn't die. He would trust this woman this time and help her to repay her kindness. By then, even if he uses his sense soul incarnation, he might not be able to escape unscathed. Listen up. In the Northern Ocean, there is a fish called Kuan. In the Northern Ocean, there is a saint called Hun Kuan. There was a day in the Northern Sea named Een Rome. There is thunder in the Northern Sea, its name is Thunder Grief. When the woman finished reciting the incantation, she suddenly stopped. She didn't know how to do the rest. This mantra was something he had obtained by chance. After listening to this mantra, Ning Fan's expression changed and he chanted it in his heart. There were only 4 sentences of the mantra, but as soon as he chanted it, the irresistible corrosive force of the ice sun turned into a gentle breeze. It couldn't hurt Ning Fan anymore and gradually, it was devoured by Ning Fan. That trace of corrosive force was called the true yang energy. It was a taboo force that Ning Fan couldn't touch with his current realm or even the realm of a divine emperor of the rain world. A trace of it was insignificant. After Ning Fan devoured it, it immediately disappeared without a trace due to Ning Fan's insufficient realm. Even so, it still left a trace of mark in Ning Fan's mind. He had a vague understanding of the sunset, but he couldn't see through it. What surprised Ning Fan the most was that the silent Eastern Ocean bell in his storage pouch suddenly let out a clear Dao sound. The bell rang, reverberating in Ning Fan's mind. Eastern Ocean, Northern Ocean, perhaps this bell has something to do with the Northern Ocean mantra that the mysterious woman mentioned. Ning Fan had a vague guess in his mind, but he knew that the connection wasn't something that a harmonious spirit like him could figure out. Although he didn't understand the abstruse of the mantra or the mystery of the Eastern Ocean bell, Ning Fan was sure that the Eastern Ocean bell was extraordinary for the first time. He didn't know why, but he suddenly remembered the profound Een world within the Yin Yang locket. There was a huge sun that was half black and half white. The power of the ice sun couldn't hurt Ning Fan anymore. The woman in the Yin Yang locket took the opportunity to cast a magical technique to devour the 4th grade cold chi in the ice sun, the Purple Loath Ice Frost. This technique consumed a lot of her energy, but it seemed like the Purple Loath Ice Frost was more important to her. Ning Fan didn't stay idle inside the ice sun. He closed his eyes and seemed to have comprehended something. What he comprehended was his own heart's devil, what was in front of him was the heaven's might. Under the heaven's might, the heart's devil was exceptionally clear. Through his inner heart, Ning Fan could vaguely see an extremely cold and gloomy corner of his heart. In that corner, there were the sufferings of his childhood, the helplessness, despair, hatred when he was imprisoned in the all-pleasure sect, and the madness that destroyed the heaven separation sect. That corner had gathered all of Ning Fan's negative emotions. If they were condensed into one, it would become the heart's devil. But Ning Fan knew that his heart's devil was far more than that. Compared to these negative emotions, the scariest thing was love. Gold core cultivators needed to sever their emotions. That was why many old monsters who resorted to trickery wouldn't look for a Tao companion before reaching the gold core realm. Their hearts would lack a trace of emotion, so when they severed their heart's devil, they didn't need to face the barrier of love, they only needed to sever their negative emotions. Their hearts didn't have any struggle, so severing their heart's devil wouldn't have much effect on them. Without emotion in their hearts, it would be extremely difficult for them to advance their gold core realm. If Ning Fan had a choice, he would rather not get to know Ji He and the other women before reaching the gold core realm. In this way, even if he lacked the emotion, it would still be better than severing the emotions in their hearts. Unfortunately, he had no other choice. In order to break through the gold core realm, he must sever all ties with the women in the past. Can I do it? At this moment, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. His hollow eyes stared at the gradually fading ice sun in front of him, struggling. If he didn't break through the gold core realm, he would certainly die when Moksha Sovereign attacked him 100 years later. Severing the heart's devil meant forgetting Ji He and the other women. In this way, even if he claimed to love them, he would still treat them as his cauldrons in the end. Then, what was the trace of warmth that Ning Fan protected when he fought against Moksha Sovereign? His heart was struggling. The more difficult the struggle, the more it showed that the heart's devil that he was about to face was incomparably powerful. As his heart struggled, a trace of boundless chi rose from his body. Tribulation clouds condensed in the sky. This was the sign of drawing the heavenly tribulation and breaking through to the gold core realm. In an instant, Ning Fan's dazed expression was swept away, and he regained his clarity. He was secretly shocked that he almost initiated the heavenly tribulation to break through to the gold core realm. Not to mention the success rate, if he went into seclusion here, he would need at least 10 years of comprehension. In order to break through to the gold core realm, he originally planned to go to the Lost World Palace to cultivate. Relying on the slow flow of time, he shortened the 10 years of comprehension to a few years. His forehead was covered with cold sweat. The voice of a youth came out from the ice sun immediately, the huge sun that shook everyone's heart shattered with a loud bang. A youth was controlling the black dragon fire. His eyes were cold and his body was covered in ice shards. With a finger, he shattered the illusory ice sundae. It's over. The youth said indifferently. His eyes flashed with black light. With a point of his finger, the surging black fire in his hand turned into a sea of fire. Then, like a black whirlpool, it engulfed revered by Black demon flame. Earth vein demonic flame. 5th grade spiritual fire. Countless old monsters rose to their feet and stared at the black flame in disbelief. According to the knowledge of many old monsters, this flame was the flame of Old Monster Han, the apothecary. With this flame, Old Monster Han could become one of the top 10 experts in Yu country even though he was only a harmonious spirit expert. Everyone knew that Ning Fan was the disciple of the Old Monster, but no one knew that the Old Monster would pass this flame to Ning Fan. The Earth Vein Demonic Flame. Once this flame is unleashed, even the 4th grade cold chi won't be a match for it. There's no suspense in this battle. Elder Song Feng's eyes were filled with shock. He could only watch as his old opponent was about to lose to a youth. However, he didn't feel that it was unbelievable. Instead, he felt that it was a matter of course. The strength displayed by this youth was too strong. It would be ridiculous if he still couldn't defeat revered Bai. No, I won't be defeated. This old man still has the profound heavy armor. Bai Feidong's eyes were filled with madness. He gathered all of his magical force into the profound heavy armor, trying to defend against Ning Fan's black flame. The profound heavy armor let out a sizzling sound, as if it couldn't withstand the might of the black flame. Eventually, it managed to withstand the attack. But at this moment, Ning Fan changed his hand seal and a voice was heard. Dragon Vortex Fire, First Revolution. In an instant, the flame rose to a height of 10 meters. The whirlpool suddenly rotated. The profound heavy armor let out a sizzling sound and cracks began to appear. Don't break it. Bai Feidong took out a dozen Dan-grade talismans and stuck them on the profound heavy armor. Rays of light rose from the sea of fire and turned into layers of defense. In this way, the profound heavy armor was finally able to defend against the might of the first revolution dragon flame. But the second revolution was coming. Dragon Vortex Fire, Second Revolution. After the second revolution, the color of the sea of fire became darker. Bai Feidong's beard and hair began to burn as he was sucked into the whirlpool. The cracks on the profound heavy armor began to spread again. It wasn't far from breaking. This old man said, "Don't break it." Revered Bai seemed to have gone mad. He patted his storage pouch and took out a bottle of secret pills that could increase magical force. His meridians felt swollen and painful. His magical force rose again and fused into the profound heavy armor to strengthen its defense, resisting the second revolution of Ning Fan's dragon flame. The second revolution of dragon flame could even severely injure an early gold core cultivator. With the help of the black demon flame, the power of this technique was even greater. In the arena, the coldness was swept away and the temperature was as hot as summer. Each of the old experts was drenched in sweat as they looked at the dragon flame technique with a shocked expression. Most of them couldn't withstand this flame. Now that Bai Feidong was severely injured, he was still able to withstand the flame, which made the situation even more complicated and confusing. The second revolution isn't enough. If this kid uses the third revolution, no, the third revolution dragon flame, even the overbearing old monster Han might not be able to use it. A gold core old expert who had been bullied by the old monster, the sect master of Flying Swallow sect, Su Fei, sighed and said. It was impossible for him to use the third revolution. Su Fei's words made many old experts agree with him. Ning Fan's magical force was also consumed. If he couldn't break revered Bai's defense, the two of them would have a draw. A draw, in this case, the winnings will be much lesser. Forget it, fortunately, revered Bai won't be defeated. At least the money I bet won't be in vain. The hearts of some old monsters were still thinking about that heart-stirring bet. No one expected revered Bai to win anymore. They only hoped that revered Bai wouldn't be defeated and end the battle in a draw. But they were destined to be disappointed, because Ning Fan changed his technique again. Dragon Vortex Fire, Third Revolution. Black Dragon, bite him. Ning Fan's eyes glinted with cold light. The whirlpool of the sea of fire expanded. In the depths of the whirlpool, the flames condensed into a huge dragon head. It wanted to bite revered Bai's shoulder, tearing off a large piece of heavy armor along with a piece of flesh. Arg! Revered Bai let out a wail, but the pain in his shoulder aroused his ruthlessness. He took out more than 10 magical treasures, all of which were mid-grade magical treasures. Each of them was an extremely precious treasure. But at this moment, he had forgotten about winning or losing, the bet and everything else. There was only one thought in his mind, to block Ning Fan's attack and protect his reputation. Break! 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 One after another, the magical treasures were detonated by revered Bai. The aftershock of the explosion dispersed layers of the sea of fire, creating an opening. Revered Bai covered his injured shoulder and seized the opportunity to rush out of the sea of dragon vortex fire. His beard and hair were all burnt, leaving him bald and dirty. His profound heavy armor was full of cracks, making him look extremely miserable. But in the end, he managed to block Ning Fan's third revolution dragon fire. Finally, it's a draw. In this way, I won't lose all my face. There was no longer a trace of desire to win in his heart. He realized that he was no match for Ning Fan. Ning Fan also had a clear understanding of how difficult it was to deal with Revered Bai. This was a gold-core old monster that was tempered in the Blood Sea. He was definitely not as weak as Bing Ling and Yu Ling. In this world, there were countless old monsters like him. He must not underestimate his enemy. Ice Rain Technique. Ning Fan didn't seem to have much magical power left. He flicked his finger and casted a low-grade Ice Rain Technique. This technique was insignificant in the eyes of countless old monsters, and Revered Bai didn't put it in his eyes at all. He was panting heavily, looking at the icicles in the sky and sneered. It's a draw, this ice rain can't hurt me. The icicles pierced the profound heavy armor and were easily blocked. However, the cold chi in the icicles penetrated through the profound heavy armor and shattered into pieces without a sign. The remaining icicles pierced Revered Bai's defenseless body one after another, turning him into a bloody mess. Of course, Ning Fan avoided the vital parts. He had said that he wouldn't kill Revered Bai, he would only injure him severely. What? Revered Bai could even withstand the third revolution dragon fire. How could he be defeated by a mere ice rain technique? This. Each of the old monsters was dumbfounded. They were surprised that Ning Fan could cast two magical techniques of different attributes with just one immortal vein. Dragon Vortex Fire. Ning Fan must have a fire vein to cast it. Although the grade of the ice rain technique was low, Ning Fan also needed an ice vein to cast it. A dual spirit cultivator. All the cultivators who guessed this looked at Ning Fan in disbelief. They also had an answer as to why Ning Fan's cultivation speed was so fast. A dual spirit cultivator, a monstrous aptitude. You. Revered Bai's breath was weak. He wished he could die immediately. To him, not dying and being looked down upon by everyone was worse than death. He was a man with integrity, regardless of his character. The reason why you lost is because you underestimated me. The name of Revered Bai has made you used to being superior, forgetting that there is always someone better than you out there. The cultivation world is vast. You and I aren't the strongest. Even those void fragmentation experts that are high above us are far from the strongest. After saying these words, Ning Fan's eyes lightly swept past the beggar and then moved away as if nothing had happened, leaving no trace behind. Don't provoke me again, or else. Ning Fan didn't say anything else and turned to leave. He walked to the center of the venue and swept his eyes across the guests. Under his intense gaze, even the gold-core old monsters didn't dare to make a sound. This kid wasn't the strongest under the gold-core realm. Even if it was above the gold-core realm, there were only a few who could defeat him. From today onwards, there will be no Revered Bai in Sinister Sparrow sect. There will only be me, Revered Ning. Chapter 110. Half a month had passed, but the old experts who stayed in Sinister Sparrow sect still looked miserable, as if their fathers had died. All the immortal jades were gone. Those who bet on Ning Fan's defeat or a draw lost all their immortal jades. Like all the other old experts, the beggar couldn't feel happy. Little Ji He and Cece took away 200,000 immortal jades from the beggar. At this moment, Ji He smiled sweetly, feeling that she was too smart. She had won so much money just by making up her mind. When Lan Mei placed the huge amount of wealth in front of Sinister Sparrow, even the scheming Sinister Sparrow couldn't help but feel his heart tremble. 100,000 immortal jades, as the master of a sect, how could he not be tempted? Bai Lu also returned to Dual Cultivation Palace with 10,000 immortal jades to distribute the rewards. As for the wife of Fire Cloud Old Ancestor, Yunhua, she was so shocked that she couldn't close her mouth. She held the 100,000 immortal jades in her hands and didn't know what to do. She had originally followed the old ancestor's order to throw the 100,000 immortal jades into the water to buy Ning Fan's good impression and plant the seed for what she would ask for in the future, but from the bottom of her heart, Yunhua was extremely reluctant to spend such a cheap amount of money. She didn't expect that this action of throwing money could be exchanged for such a huge amount of profit. "Husband, your eyes are very sharp," Yunhua praised in her heart. Immediately, a complacent voice resounded in her heart. "Of course, your husband is the dignified fire cloud old ancestor." Strangely, no one knew that a trace of spirit sense of fire cloud old ancestor was hidden in Yunhua's body through some unknown means. No wonder he was at ease when his wife went out. It turned out that he was monitoring her all the time. The beggar didn't suffer any loss or profit. He came to Sinister Sparrow sect to look for Ning Fan, but he didn't even find a hair of Ning Fan. It seemed like this trip was a waste of effort. He wasn't in a good mood, so he ignored all the old experts who came to claim a relationship with him. He couldn't wait to leave Sinister Sparrow sect to avoid the annoyance of these bees and flies, but Ning Fan didn't appear for a long time and didn't exchange for the 50,000 immortal jades that he was supposed to get. After the battle on the sky platform, Ning Fan had become revered Ning and immediately went into seclusion. His state of mind was in chaos because of the heart devil. He had to suppress his heart devil again because it wasn't the right time to form his core. The Lost World Palace. Before I find this place, I can't form my core. Otherwise, time will be wasted. If Ning Fan didn't show up, the beggar wouldn't be able to leave. He was a dignified second heavenly layer void fragmentation old monster and the dignified son of a divine emperor. How could he take advantage of a junior with 50,000 immortal jades? Was he that short of money? Although he was a beggar, the stone chamber of the dual cultivation palace was destroyed by him when he was in seclusion the last time. This time, he was in seclusion in the stone chamber of the Dan Palace. As for his cheap disciple, Xueqing, he was waiting respectfully outside the stone chamber. This scene shocked many old monsters. The arrogant Third Revolution Pill Master Xueqing actually greeted Ning Fan like a disciple. Xueqing would naturally not explain all of this to anyone. This was Ning Fan's instruction to not reveal his identity as a Fourth Revolution Pill Refinement Master. At this moment, Xueqing's eyes were burning as he stared at the stone gate. Previously, he respected Ning Fan because of his pill concoction skills, but after the battle with Revered Bai, Ning Fan's combat strength had impressed him. Although Revered Bai wasn't as strong as an old ancestor and wasn't one of the top 10 experts in Yu country, he was still one of the top 20 experts in Yu country. However, an expert of this level was defeated by a young man like Ning Fan. Before the battle, no one expected Ning Fan to win. At the end of the battle, no one regretted the fact that they had placed the wrong bet. At the age of 17, Ning Fan stepped on the path of evil cultivation. At the age of 18, he had become one of the top experts in Yu country, revered Ning of Sinister Sparrow sect. The only thing that bothered Xueqing was that Ning Fan seemed to have found too many wives for him. With a smile on his face, he looked at the anxious women outside the stone chamber. Jihe was born with a bewitching bone. Bai Lu was the #1 devil girl of Sinister Sparrow sect. Lan Mei was the young master of Sinister Sparrow sect. Cici, this woman gave Xueqing a terrifying feeling. Facing her seemed to be more dangerous than facing Sinister Sparrow. These are all wives of Master. I can't neglect them. With a smile on his face, he greeted the 4 women one by one. As for the innocent Jihe, her impression of this respectful old man immediately improved. As for Si Wuxie, she only nodded her head lightly as a response. Only in front of Ning Fan would she put away her coldness and turn back into an innocent girl. However, this innocence was diminishing as time went by. Lan Mei and Bai Lu were the ones who couldn't adapt to Xueqing's smile the most. Lan Mei was still fine. As the young master, Xueqing would usually smile and talk to her, but he had never been so respectful to her. Xueqing had an air of arrogance that belonged to a pill refinement grandmaster. This air of arrogance allowed him to not show his inferiority in front of experts like Sinister Sparrow. But today, Xue Qing was very respectful. The way he looked at her was like a junior. This made Lan Mei slightly uncomfortable, but she could vaguely guess that the reason why Xue Qing was so respectful to her was related to Ning Fan. The one who couldn't adapt to it the most was Bai Lu. In the past, as the substitute elder of Dual Cultivation Palace, Xue Qing had never once looked at her when she came to Dan Palace to collect the pills required by the female disciples. In fact, Xue Qing had always despised Bai Lu. But today, Xue Qing was extremely respectful to Bai Lu. All of this was because he heard that Bai Lu had been subdued by Ning Fan. This is also Master's wife. I can't neglect her. Xue Qing's face was full of smiles, but his heart was smiling bitterly. This expression was too difficult for a cold and arrogant person like him. However, he discovered that when he put down his pride and resumed the mentality of a junior, his stagnant cultivation base began to loosen a little. Ning Fan didn't know what was happening outside the stone chamber. After obtaining the purple loath ice frost, the mysterious woman fell into a deep slumber again. But Ning Fan could vaguely feel that the mysterious woman was undergoing some kind of change, whether it was good or bad, he didn't know. After suppressing the chaotic state of mind, he didn't come out of seclusion immediately. Instead, he stayed in the stone chamber to sort out the insights he gained from the battle. Breaking Illusion Bead, for Mark's Natal Immortal Cloud, 4th Grade Cold Chi, Myriad Soul Banner, Hornless Ice Sword, 7 Sword Art. By Fating's means weren't weak. Moreover, his rich experience in fighting also gave Ning Fan a hint of inspiration. There was a world of difference in combat strength between a cultivator who trained in blood and fire and a cultivator who cultivated peacefully. After breaking through to the Gold Core realm, he must go to the Lost World Palace to borrow the power of the Lost World to shorten the time needed to form his core. The mysterious woman did not mention the location of the Lost World Palace. However, it was currently in a deep slumber. Just like the Godly Void Pavilion, the Lost World Palace could be found all over the Rain World. Unfortunately, there was no Lost World Palace in Yu Country. The nearby Wu Country and Chu Country did not seem to have any Lost World Palace either. Even the nearest one had to cross more than a dozen cultivation countries. After arriving at Ying, he would board the Heaven Evasion boat and sail to the Boundless Sea. The Endless Sea was located in the easternmost region of the Rain Immortal world. It was a long way from the Endless Sea. Apart from cultivators, there were also foreign races. Demon race, ghost race, giant devil race. With Ning Fan's traveling speed, it would take him several years just to get to the Lost World Palace in the Endless Sea. It seemed like the losses outweighed the gains. To go or not to go, that was the question. Currently, he still had a lot of enemies in Yu Country. The 3 immortal armies had yet to form their true combat power. It was unknown whether he could protect Ning City and 7 Apricot City. Was it really a good idea for him to leave Yu Country at this time? There is an old saying in the cultivation world. Cultivating the Tao is not cultivating longevity, but to be free and unfettered. If one's heart is shackled, one will never be able to cultivate the Tao again. At this moment, Ning Fan finally experienced the troubles of having too many shackles. At the same time, he also experienced the happiness of having too many shackles. It seems like I haven't had a good time to bask in the sun for a long time. He recalled the old monster's reminder, sighed slightly and stood up. He thought of Ning Gu who was far away from home and closed his eyes slightly. He thought of Extreme Een Gate, Bone Sovereign, Moksha Sovereign and the scenes of slaughter. In just a year of devil cultivation, his hands had been stained with too much blood and sins. Ning Fan needed to bask in the sun. This was the method to suppress the heart devil that the old monster taught him. Exit seclusion. He gently pushed the stone door open and saw the 4 girls and Xue Qing. Their eagerness turned into a trace of determination in his eyes. I won't sever my emotions. Bai Lu frowned as soon as she saw Ning Fan. She let out a soft humph and turned away without saying a word to Ning Fan. However, her shoulders were obviously shaking, as if she wasn't as calm as she looked. Lan Mei was a little reserved, Cece was a little happy, and Jihe clung to Ning Fan's bosom. "Brother Fan, we are rich." Her first sentence wasn't about missing him for a long time, but about being rich. How heartless was this little girl. Ning Fan let go of Jihe and patted her hair. His eyes were looking outside the stone chamber. "The two of you have been waiting for a long time." The two people he was referring to were Lady Yunhua and the impatient beggar. Two silhouettes immediately walked out from both sides of the valley. One of them walked like a lotus while the other one had an unpleasant expression. "If you don't come out, I will smash your stone chamber. Here, this is the 50,000 immortal jades that you won." The beggar impatiently threw a storage pouch that contained 100,000 immortal jades to Ning Fan. "I will definitely support the next time there is a bet." Ning Fan clasped his fists at the beggar. "Only a fool would refuse to earn money." I don't want to see you ever again, right? Have you seen a piece of blue jade?" The beggar suddenly asked mysteriously. Perhaps this was his original intention of waiting for Ning Fan. "Blue jade?" Ning Fan showed a strange expression. "Is that so?" "Forget it, pretend I didn't ask." The beggar didn't say anything else. As soon as he saw this person and heard his words, Ning Fan's eyes shrunk and said coldly, "I don't understand what you're talking about." Although he didn't say it out loud, his heart was filled with helplessness. It seemed like Black Devil Ning's identity was going to be exposed in the end. There were many people in the world who were good at divination. There were also many people who were good at it. It wasn't strange for them to find out his identity. But it was also possible that Jing Zhuo was just testing him, and Ning Fan wouldn't be stupid enough to admit it. "Don't worry, little friend. This old man doesn't have any evil intentions, but there are people who want to kill you. Do you know that old devil Purple Een of Extreme Een Gate has joined hands with the experts of Heavenly Dao sect in Wu country to kill you?" Ning Fan didn't say a word. He couldn't tell if old ancestor Jing Zhuo was still testing him. "Hee, little friend has such a strong vigilance." "Good, this shows that little friend is someone who is planning something big." "Little friend, you don't have to hide it from me. I have a friend in Wu country who received a piece of news by chance. That's how I found out your true identity." "Little friend, do you know that old devil Purple Een has gone to Wu country and spent 10,000 immortal jades to find out your true identity from the divine divination old man? I swear on my heart's devil that this is absolutely true." "Little friend, you don't have to pretend in front of me anymore," old ancestor Jing Zhuo said with a sincere expression. After listening to Jing Zhuo's words, Ning Fan believed 70% of it and 30% of it. What he believed was that Jing Zhuo really knew his identity. What he didn't believe was the method to find out his identity. A friend told him. Ridiculous. This Jing Zhuo must be like old devil Purple Een, spending a fortune to find out his identity from the divine divination old man. However, Jing Zhuo was obviously different from Purple Een. After knowing Ning Fan's identity, he didn't dare to make a move against Ning Fan directly after thinking about it. After all, Fire Cloud's sect was the first sect to obtain a nascent formation pill. There was no need for him to go to war with Ning Fan. As long as he maintained the current situation, it would be easy for Fire Cloud's sect to obtain the first nascent formation pill. Jing Zhuo was highly likely to be the first nascent soul cultivator in Yu country, because he would be the first to obtain the nascent formation pill. But Purple Een was different. His Extreme Een Gate was scheduled to obtain the pill 10 years later, and there were many conflicts between Purple Een and Ning Fan. Purple Een couldn't wait. He only wanted to rob Ning Fan. Old ancestor Jing Zhuo, good plan, not bad. I am Ning Fan and also Black Devil Ning. Are you satisfied with this? Tell me your purpose of coming here, otherwise, I might treat you as an enemy. Killing intent flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. Under the killing intent of an immortal emperor, even Jing Zhuo couldn't remain calm. As for his wife, Yunhua, her face turned pale. He really was Black Devil Ning. Sure enough, he had an extremely terrifying trump card. Plus, this kid was very cunning. He could tell that Ning Fan had found the divine divination old man to calculate the heavenly secret. But what Ning Fan didn't know was that Jing Zhuo was different from Purple Yin. The first one was about Black Devil Ning's identity. The second divination was about the probability of Jing Zhuo capturing Black Devil Ning by himself. And the answer that the divine divination old man gave was, death. It was this second divination that completely dispelled Jing Zhuo's hostility towards Ning Fan. He was afraid that he was the only one in the entire Yu country who knew about Ning Fan's terror. Purple Yin had missed one divination, and this one divination had determined the destruction of Extreme Yin Gate. I'm sorry, people in the cultivation world have no choice but to do what they want. However, I'm indeed a friend of revered Ning now. I'm still waiting for revered Ning's nascent formation pill to break through to the nascent soul realm. How would I dare to become revered Ning's enemy? Jing Zhuo laughed dryly. Seeing the killing intent on Ning Fan's face didn't diminish, he kept his smile and said solemnly. All right. I'll tell you my purpose of coming here. I want to form an alliance with revered Ning to destroy Extreme Yin Gate together. Alliance? Why? Ning Fan's eyes relaxed and his killing intent was slightly surprised. This arrogant old ancestor Hui Yun wanted to form an alliance with him. Why did he want to attack Extreme Yin Gate? I might have a grudge against Extreme Yin Gate, but what about him? As if he could see Ning Fan's doubt, Jing Zhuo's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness and hatred. He pointed at Yunhua and said with a bitter smile. To be honest with revered Ning, I have a grudge against Purple Yin for killing my wife. Look at Yunhua, she's a living person. I see. No wonder I felt something wrong with Lady Yunhua's qi. Ning Fan looked at Yunhua who was standing prettily and revealed a look of understanding. Chapter 111. Lady Yunhua was already dead, but she was still alive in a strange form. Her body was dead and her heart had stopped beating, but the magical power in her meridians was still circulating and flowing according to the corpse refinement technique, keeping her body from rotting. As for her soul, it was supposed to enter samsara after death, but it was sealed in the heavenly spirit. Sealing the heavenly spirit was a corpse refinement technique that could retain the spiritual wisdom of the corpse, but it was only passed down in ancient times. Ancient Chaos's memory didn't mention this secret technique, otherwise, Ning Fan could dig out Ning Honghong's corpse and make a corpse for her to resurrect. This woman could be Yunhua, but she could also be not. Rumor had it that old ancestor Jing Zhuo was a narrow-minded man who didn't want his wife to show her face in front of others. In fact, he wasn't being narrow-minded, but he was afraid that Yunhua's identity as a corpse refinement would be exposed. Even when his Dao companion became a corpse refinement, Jing Zhuo still stayed by her side. This red-haired old man was an infatuated man. Of course, the premise was that Jing Zhuo didn't lie about this matter. Ning Fan didn't comment on whether Jing Zhuo was telling the truth or not. Little friend, you don't believe that I'm in love with a corpse? Forget it. It's not wrong for you to doubt this matter. Little friend, your name is Black Devil and you have the noble title of revered Ning. Although your cultivation base is high and your skill in concocting pills is strong, your experience is still shallow. On the purple jade sky platform, when you attracted the core formation heavenly tribulation, this old man could see the struggle in your heart. In the past, this old man had also struggled, but that was something that happened hundreds of years ago. Oh. Fellow Taoist Jing Zhuo also struggled with the tribulation of severing love. Ning Fan was slightly startled and slightly interested in Jing Zhuo's words. That's right. I knew Yunhua before I formed my core. At that time, Yunhua's cultivation talent was above mine, but she didn't break through to the gold core realm because she couldn't bear to forget me. I didn't break through to the gold core realm either, I couldn't bear to sever my love and forget everything, until that incident happened. At that time, Purple Een, who was only an elder of Extreme Een sect, fancied my wife and attacked her when she went out to complete the sect's mission. Speaking of this, Jingzhou closed his eyes painfully without any pretense. Yunhua is so silly. If she had followed Purple Een, she wouldn't have died. Why didn't she follow? Why would she rather die? After Yunhua's death, my heart was like dead ashes and I broke the barrier of love. I retrieved Yunhua's corpse and refined it into a refined corpse. This matter has already happened for hundreds of years. I'm afraid that no one in Yu country remembers the harmonious spirit realm Yunhua. I'm afraid that even Purple Een doesn't remember this. He doesn't know that every day, I can't wait to eat his flesh. But I'm no match for Purple Een. Therefore, I need the nascent soul pill. I need to become stronger. Jingzhua's gaze suddenly turned crazy. I want to form my nascent soul. I don't want to live forever, I don't want to be unstoppable. I just want to cut Purple Een into pieces so that the pain in Yunhua's heart will be slightly reduced. If her identity as a refined corpse cannot be allowed to exist in the world, I would rather overturn the entire sky and correct her reflection. Do you understand this feeling? I'm a little excited and said too much. Fellow Taoist Ning, this old man only has one thing to say. If you help me with this matter, this old man is willing to gift the Fire Cloud sect to you as thanks. Ning Fan's expression changed. It wasn't because of Jingzhua's generosity in gifting the Fire Cloud sect to him. What moved Ning Fan was Jingzhua's craziness and obsession. He didn't want to live forever and he didn't want to be unstoppable. He just wanted to correct his reflection. This was a kind of obsession. It was an obsession that made Ning Fan waver. Initially, Ning Fan thought that his persistence in not severing his emotions was already considered as persistence. However, compared to Jingzhua, his persistence seemed insignificant. Ning Fan closed his eyes and fell into silence. Jingzhua didn't seem like he was lying. No, it should be said that such a person would never lie about the matters of his true love because it was a kind of blasphemy. Words could deceive others but one's Tao heart could never be deceived. Jingzhua's Tao heart would never regret even if he were to die 100 times. Ning Fan could clearly feel his craziness and deep obsession towards Yunhua. If the Extreme Een sect really wants to attack Ning Cheng, it would be very difficult for him to face the joint attack of the Extreme Een sect and the Heavenly Tao sect alone. Allying with the Fire Cloud sect was a wise move. With the Fire Cloud sect restraining the Extreme Een sect, the pressure on him would be greatly reduced. Moreover, after annihilating the Extreme Een sect, he could openly take over the entire Fire Cloud sect as a reward. Since he had no use for the Fire Cloud sect, he might as well change his reward and propose other conditions to Jingzhua. For example, Ning Fan was extremely interested in Jingzhua's special corpse refining technique. For example, the Fire Cloud sect had a large number of spiritual herbs and cultivation methods which Ning Fan might need. Of course, it would be extremely foolish for Ning Fan to not fully trust Jingzhua. He still maintained a trace of vigilance. This was the basic principle for cultivators to interact with each other. If the Extreme Een sect really wants to kill Ning Cheng, I will be very happy to ally with fellow Taoist Jingzhua. However, I wonder if fellow Taoist Jingzhua has a specific plan to deal with the Extreme Een sect? I do. Firstly, I need a nascent formation pill to break through to the nascent soul realm. However, I don't know if revered Ning has the confidence to concoct a nascent formation pill within a month. Nascent formation pill? Ning Fan was slightly stunned. That's right. The sect master of the Heavenly Tao sect seems to be in seclusion. He will only come out after 3 months. Therefore, the plan of the Purple Een sect and Heavenly Tao sect to massacre Ning Cheng will most likely be carried out 3 months later. There are still 3 months left. If that's the case, I really need to make some preparations. Ning Fan didn't ask about the source of Jingzhua's information. It wasn't hard to guess that there was a spy planted by Jingzhua in the extreme Yin sect. Since he had the intention to kill Purple Yin sect, it wasn't strange for him to plant a spy for hundreds of years. I will concoct a nascent formation pill at most half a month. However, I don't think you can refine the pill and break through to the nascent soul realm within 2.5 months. That's right. I will need at least 100 years of seclusion to completely break through to the nascent soul realm. But what if I only need to raise my magical power to the nascent soul realm? So what if I temporarily suppress my cultivation realm and don't break through? I think it will be enough to increase my strength. If I can successfully annihilate the extreme Yin sect, I will go to the endless sea and break through to the nascent soul realm there. I see. Alright, leave the matter of the nascent formation pill to me. Oh, if fellow Taoist Jingzhua goes to the endless sea, you must bring me along. I also plan to go there, but unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the way there. You want to go too? Jingzhua was slightly surprised. The Lost World Palace. Our goal seems to be the same. Ning Fan said with a smile. Hiss. Fellow Taoist Ning is quite well informed. That's right, there's indeed a Lost World Palace in the Endless Sea. It's the ideal place for me to form my nascent soul. If fellow Taoist is willing to travel with me, I won't have any objection. Jingzhua laughed and did not refuse. At this moment, he had something to ask of Ning Fan. Thus, he naturally would not displease Ning Fan at this moment. Ning Fan looked at Jingzhua with a hint of approval. This Jingzhua is really good at adapting to circumstances. Consuming a nascent formation pill would only allow one's magical power to reach the nascent soul realm while suppressing one's cultivation realm. This method was something that ordinary people would never be able to come up with. In fact, it was even more difficult to implement. But Jingzhua dared to think this way, so he must be completely confident. If Jingzhua's magic power reached the nascent soul realm, he would have a great chance of winning against old devil Purple Yin even if he hadn't broken through to the next realm. If that's the case, I have to congratulate fellow Taoist for forming your nascent soul in advance. Ning Fan said with a smile. Ha, if this old man is fortunate enough to form my nascent soul, I will not forget fellow Taoist Ning's kindness. In order to eliminate Purple Yin, this old man still has some plans that I hope fellow Taoist Ning can adopt. I'd like to hear the details, but before that, I would like to ask for something from fellow Taoist Jingzhua. If fellow Taoist needs it, feel free to take it. Immortal Jade, the more the better. Also, I'm also interested in your wife's soul sealing corpse refining technique. One more thing, if fellow Taoist can gather all the medicinal ingredients listed in this jade slip, I'll be more than happy to concoct 2 more pills for fellow Taoist. Ning Fan waved his hand and took out a jade slip. He imprinted 2 pill recipes on it with his spirit sense and passed it to Jingzhua. Jingzhua didn't show the slightest dissatisfaction after hearing that Ning Fan wanted the immortal jade and the corpse refining technique. The immortal jade was originally a gift to Ning Fan and the corpse refining technique was something that he obtained by chance in the Endless Sea. Although it was precious, it wasn't something that couldn't be taught to outsiders. It was fine if Ning Fan asked for the items, but Jingzhua would doubt Ning Fan's sincerity if Ning Fan didn't ask for anything in return. As for the matter that Ning Fan said that he was willing to concoct 2 more pills for him, after receiving the jade slip, Jingzhua scanned through it with his spirit sense. All the medicinal ingredients required were precious and they were at least 2,000 years old. Jingzhua's face twitched. It wasn't easy to gather all these pills. He didn't know what kind of pill Ning Fan was going to concoct for him. If it was a pill that wasn't really useful to him, it would be a waste to spend so many rare medicinal ingredients, but when he read the pill recipes to the end, his face was suddenly filled with shock and then ecstasy. He looked at Ning Fan with inexplicable gratitude. These 2 pill recipes weren't useless at all. One of them was called Nascent Solidifying Pill. The effect of this pill was to increase the success rate of forming a nascent soul. Although its effect wasn't as good as the nascent formation pill, its success rate could be stacked with the nascent formation pill, increasing Jingzhua's chances of forming his nascent soul. But what really made Jingzhua ecstatic was not the nascent solidifying pill, but the second pill, corpse life pill. This pill was a fourth revolution pill. Its effect was very unorthodox. It could increase the lifespan of a refined corpse. In fact, it wasn't accurate to say that it increased the lifespan of a refined corpse. A refined corpse wasn't a living thing. Instead of increasing its lifespan, it would be more accurate to say that it increased the rate of wear and durability of the refined corpse, allowing the refined corpse to live for a longer time. Refined corpses were the same as magic treasures. They would eventually break down and the life force of a physical body would be exhausted one day. This corpse life pill was a pill that could increase the lifespan of a refined corpse. The nascent solidifying pill was concocted for Jingzhua while the corpse life pill was concocted for Yunhua. Yunhua had lived as a refined corpse for hundreds of years. His soul power was depleted and the life force of his physical body was exhausted. What Jingzhua suffered the most was that he couldn't resurrect Yunhua. Secondly, he couldn't extend the lifespan of Yunhua's refined corpse. To Jingzhua, this pill was even more precious than the nascent solidifying pill. It was even more precious than his cultivation base and his life. The reason why he formed an alliance with Ning Fan was to take revenge on Purple Yin. However, if he knew that Ning Fan had the ability to extend Yunhua's lifespan earlier, he would be willing to give up everything and become Ning Fan's dog just for the sake of Yunhua's survival. If fellow Taoist Ning can save Yunhua, I, Jingzhua, am willing to give up everything and become fellow Taoist's slave. Jingzhua said with a serious expression. Fellow Taoist, you don't have to do this. If you can prepare all the medicinal ingredients, concocting this pill will just be a piece of cake for me, rest assured, fellow Taoist. Even if I have to put my life on the line, I will definitely find these medicinal ingredients. There were obviously a few types of spiritual herbs in the jade slip. Their effects were neither to solidify one's nascent soul nor to extend one's lifespan. Even though Jingzhua didn't know the Tao of pill concoction, he could still tell that Ning Fan was most likely asking Jingzhua for the reward in the name of searching for the medicinal ingredients. Jingzhua wouldn't point it out and he wouldn't care about it. There was nothing more important than Yunhua. The other things were insignificant. If that's the case, let's talk about the matter of annihilating the extreme Yin sect. Ning Fan said with a smile. One day later, Ning Fan and Jingzhua each made a great oath of Heart Devil. Chapter 112. Facing Ji He's questioning eyes and Lan Mei's doubtful eyes, Ning Fan didn't explain much. He only said, Lady Yunhua and I are innocent, only ghosts will believe you. Ji He's words echoed everyone's thoughts. Even Xueqing didn't believe it. As Ning Fan's evil reputation grew, so did his evil reputation. Revered Ning was a dual spirit cultivator. Above all of these was the dual cultivation technique, the flower-plucking devil. That's right. The title of, the number one cultivator below the gold core realm, was outdated. The title of, the number one cultivator below the nascent soul realm, didn't belong to Ning Fan yet. Therefore, he had temporarily obtained the title of flower-plucking devil. His cultivation base had improved so fast that all the old experts' first thought was that it had something to do with Ning Fan becoming the elder of dual cultivation palace. Plucking and dual cultivation. What a beast! More than 200 delicate female disciples were defiled by him alone. Of course, the old experts were just cursing in their hearts. No one would dare to offend Ning Fan in front of him. Everyone in Sinister Sparrow sect seemed to have tacitly agreed that the female disciples of Dual Cultivation Palace were revered Ning's flesh. Therefore, Bai Lu's wish was finally achieved in the way she didn't want to. Under the cover of Ning Fan's evil reputation, no evil cultivator dared to have any thoughts about the female disciples of Dual Cultivation Palace. There was no explanation. Ning Fan wouldn't explain to these rumors. Compared to being famous, he was more interested in profit. He was a commoner who couldn't survive in the bloody sea of cultivation because he was angling for fame. Xueqing, I want to leave Sinister Sparrow sect for 3 months to go back to Ning City. But before that, I want to go to the grave of Dark Sparrow. Can you bring me there? Ning Fan's tone was indifferent. Master. Revered Ning wants to go back to Ning City. With your identity as one of the 4 venerables, you can leave the sect at any time without any restrictions. That's easy, but if you want to go to the grave of Dark Sparrow, you need the sect master's approval. That place is more dangerous than the demon Sinister Forest. Xueqing's eyes glanced at the girls and heaved a sigh of relief. He almost called Ning Fan master just now. Ning Fan didn't allow him to call Ning Fan master in public. I see. Given Sinister Sparrow's sect's strength, it's strange that they have so many forbidden places. Ning Fan pondered for a while. Whether it was the demon Sinister Forest or the unknown Dark Sparrow grave, the danger inside seemed to be beyond the void fragmentation realm. All of these seemed to be the work of the old ancestor of the Sinister Sparrow upper world, Kei Shensi. Kei Shensi must be an extraordinary figure in the 4 heavens immortal world. That was why he could set up such a forbidden place in Sinister Sparrow's sect. Perhaps, the Dark Sparrow tomb really had some secret. It wouldn't be difficult for him to seek Sinister Sparrow's approval given their relationship. Perhaps he could get a map of Dark Sparrow grave from Sinister Sparrow. A map was a good thing. If he didn't have the map, he would have died several times in the demon Sinister Forest. Alright, let's go seek an audience with the sect master. You want to see Father? Lan Mei blushed as if she had thought of something else. Wasn't it time for Ning Fan to propose? Even that place. If he doesn't marry me, I will bite him to death. Ning Fan didn't understand the thoughts of a girl. The Dark Sparrow grave was located 100,000 zhang below the ground of the Dark Sparrow Valley. There were 9 levels in total. The yin energy inside was nourishing. It could at least double the speed of devil cultivation. The deeper one went, the faster the cultivation speed would be. However, because the yin energy was too strong, even Sinister Sparrow could only enter the 3rd level and couldn't stay for more than 3 days. Under Lan Mei's request, not only did Ning Fan obtain the qualification to enter the Dark Sparrow grave, even the outsiders of Sinister Sparrow sect, Lan Mei and Cici, were allowed to enter the 1st level. Moreover, Ning Fan also obtained an ancient map that had been treasured by Sinister Sparrow for many years. This was naturally Lan Mei's contribution. However, after leaving Long Inclination Palace, Lan Mei was sulking and sulking all the way. Ning Fan didn't know what she was angry about. Under Sinister Sparrow's personal guidance, Ning Fan, Ji He, Cici, Lan Mei and Xueqing arrived at the Earth Origin Palace of Sinister Sparrow sect. The Earth Origin Palace had always been closed to disciples below the level of Elder. The guardian of the Earth Origin Palace was one of the 4 revered devils, revered Black Yen Bai. This palace didn't accept disciples and had no other purpose other than to set up an Earth Escape teleportation formation using the Earth Origin Force to teleport experts to the Dark Sparrow grave that was 100,000 zhang underground. This formation was also set up by old ancestor Kei Shensi. The teleportation formation was a void-grade grand formation that involved the power of void. Only void fragmentation formation masters could set it up. 100,000 zhang underground, even if a gold core cultivator was lucky enough to learn the Earth Escape technique of the 5 elements, they wouldn't be able to dive 10,000 zhang underground. The heavy pressure of 10,000 zhang underground could cause a gold core cultivator's body to explode and die in an instant. Yen Bai greets sect master. In the Earth Origin Palace, an old man in black clothes and a black sword cupped his fists at Sinister Sparrow. His late gold core cultivation base was concealed with his sword intent. Revered Yen is too polite. These people want to enter the Dark Sparrow grave. You can open the teleportation formation and let them in. Sinister Sparrow smiled and pointed at the people behind him. Sect Master, how can we let outsiders and juniors enter? Yen Bai's eyes swept across Lan Mei, Ji He and Si Wuxie with slight dissatisfaction. Xue Qing was an elder of the sect. Although Lan Mei was Sinister Sparrow's daughter, her status wasn't high enough to enter the Dark Sparrow grave. As for Ji He and Si Wuxie, these two girls weren't members of Sinister Sparrow's sect. How could they enter? But when Yen Bai's eyes fell on the last person, Ning Fan, his expression suddenly froze. Revered Ning, you are the one who decided to bring these women into the Dark Sparrow grave. His tone was rather impolite. Ning Fan had defeated Revered Bai. The strength that Ning Fan had shown had moved Yen Bai. However, Yen Bai knew that he was stronger than Revered Bai. It wouldn't be too difficult for him to defeat Revered Bai. In a fight with Ning Fan, he would have a 50-50 chance of winning. Therefore, he didn't fear Ning Fan even though he attached importance to Ning Fan. Because of all the grudges between him and the old devil, Yen Bai didn't have a good impression of Ning Fan. Yes. Ning Fan's tone was flat. There was nothing to deny. Alright, for the sake of Revered Ning, I can let them enter the Dark Sparrow grave. However, I will only activate the protection of the teleportation formation for you and Xue Qing. As for the pressure that these three girls will have to endure, you will have to find a way to resist it yourself. Having said that, Yen Bai closed his eyes and didn't say another word. Ning Fan's face darkened all of a sudden. The teleportation formation was a Void Realm Grand Formation. It borrowed the force of the void to teleport a cultivator to another location. During the process of teleportation, if the cultivator's body wasn't strong enough, he or she would be torn to pieces by the force of the void. Of course, during the teleportation, the cultivator would be protected by the formation to prevent the force of the void from devouring their body. Ning Fan knew that even with his silver light translucent body realm, he wouldn't be able to resist the force of the void. The silver bone body refining realm could rival nascent soul realm. Before the silver bone body refining realm, however, the body refining realm was divided into 9 realms of silver light. The first realm of silver light could allow one to move unhindered through 10 levels of vein opening. The second to fifth realm of silver light corresponded to early, intermediate, late and peak harmonious spirit. The sixth to the 9th realm corresponded to early, intermediate, late and peak gold core. Currently, Ning Fan's body refining realm was at the 6th realm of silver light and was about to break through to the 7th realm. After confirming something, Ning Fan smiled faintly and looked at Yen Bai. It seems like even the void force is disgusted by my notoriety and isn't willing to travel with me. It seems like there's no need for the protection of the formation. Alright, all of you can come in now. With me here, the void force won't be able to tear anyone apart. Although there wasn't a trace of sarcasm in Ning Fan's words, Yen Bai found it hard to remain calm. Impossible, this is the void force. Even an ordinary void refinement realm old monster wouldn't be able to resist it with their body. Could it be that the heavens will want Ning Fan to bring people into the Dark Sparrow's grave? Other than the heavens will, Yen Bai couldn't think of any other reason that could allow a harmonious spirit expert like Ning Fan to ignore the terrifying void force. This kid can't be provoked, it's not a matter of winning or losing. Yen Bai's eyes revealed a struggling expression. After a long time, he squeezed out an ugly smile. This was the first time in his life that he smiled at someone. Cough cough cough. Revered Ning, I've offended you before. I'll activate the defensive formation for everyone. As for the pills in this storage pouch, all of them are needed by the Dark Sparrow's grave. Just take them as my apology. I hope Revered Ning won't take offense. Yen Bai's temper was like a stone in the latrine pit. He actually apologized to someone. Sinister Sparrow revealed a strange look. In Yu country, there had never been anyone who could make Yen Bai bow his head. Sinister Sparrow didn't know that Yen Bai wasn't bowing his head to Ning Fan, but the heavens' will. No matter how stubborn and cold he was, he deeply believed that man couldn't go against the heavens' will. Revered He, Yen Bai, in this case, we'll let bygones be bygones, but I hope there won't be a next time. Ning Fan's spirit sense swept through the storage pouch and found that it was filled with second revolution pills and above. There were even a few bottles of third revolution pills, which were body-protecting pills that could resist the devouring of the evil Yin force. These pills were worth tens of thousands of immortal jades. His sincerity as an apology was sufficient. As for Ning Fan, he could see that Sinister Sparrow didn't want him to shed all pretenses of cordiality with Revered He. Since Revered He was sensible, he would let bygones be bygones. Let's go to the Dark Sparrow's grave. Chapter 113. Dark Sparrow's Grave, the Underground World. Darkness entered his eyes. His surroundings were filled with boundless wilderness. The sky was gloomy and the air was oppressive. Every 1,000 feet, there was an ancient black pagoda engraved with mysterious Tao runes, emitting a faint fiery glow that illuminated the underground world. Ning Fan immediately felt a wave of cold air rushing towards his face as soon as he walked out of the teleportation formation. It wasn't his body that was cold, but his heart. Strangely, the flow of magical power in his yin-yang evil veins doubled under the influence of the cold air. This meant that the efficiency of cultivating evil arts here was at least doubled compared to the outside world. This cold air is somewhat mysterious. Ning Fan shivered slightly, but when he scanned it with his spirit sense, the coldness in his heart vanished. However, the others weren't as relaxed as him. Xue Qing was an early gold core expert, but he was still shivering under the cold air. As for little Jihe and Lan Mei, they were only at the harmonious spirit realm, so their hair was covered with frost. "Brother Fan, I'm so cold," Jihe whispered. She might be able to endure the cold, but she liked to act coquettishly in front of Ning Fan. Silly girl. According to the sect master, the cold air in the second level will be twice as cold as the first level, and the third level will be twice as cold. You guys don't need to go down anymore. Stay here and cultivate. Dan Fragmentation Cauldron and this fire will keep you guys warm. Take these pills. Xue Qing and I will go to the third level to have a look. Ning Fan patted Jihe's head with pity and patted his storage pouch to take out the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron. He pondered for a moment and took out a few decent fire seeds from his storage pouch and threw them into the cauldron. After that, he left all the pills given by Yen Bai to Jihe and the other girls. Each of these fire seeds was above the second grade. There was even a third-grade spiritual fire that was given by old ancestor Jingzhua. To Ning Fan, these spiritual fires weren't essential, but they were good for keeping the girls warm. He didn't take out the black demon flame. Firstly, it was too violent. If Ning Fan wasn't here, the earth vein demonic flame would lose its suppression, which might lead to unforeseen events. Secondly, Ning Fan decided to devour the black demon flame here. It wouldn't be difficult for him to reach the half-step gold core realm after devouring the black demon flame and integrating it with the black demon art. And the power of fire elemental spells would be even more terrifying. This place was extremely cold and gloomy, which was one of the 3 conditions for devouring the black demon flame. He had also fulfilled the requirements for his cultivation technique, and he had also prepared sufficient heart protection pills. There were 2 reasons for Ning Fan to descend to the third level of Dark Sparrow's grave. Firstly, he wanted to see the pill devil that Xue Qing mentioned. Secondly, he wanted to devour the black demon flame. Ning Fan and Xue Qing's silhouettes stepped on the mud and walked further and further away in the drizzle. The spirit fire in the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron was reflected in Jihe and Lan Mei's eyes, turning into a trace of warmth. Si Wuxie, on the other hand, stared at the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron and felt that it was somewhat familiar. I've seen this cauldron before. Where? There were no ghosts in the first level of Dark Sparrow's grave, and the coldness couldn't cause any harm to Ning Fan. As Ning Fan walked in the curtain of rain, he gradually realized that there was a trace of meaning in the surrounding scenery. It was very, very faint. Void God intent. Sensing this trace of void God intent, Ning Fan couldn't help but withdraw his magical force, letting the rain wet his robe. Master, there will be rain falling from the 1st to the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. It's extremely cold and penetrating. It's best to protect yourself with magical force. Xueqing said respectfully. It doesn't matter, although the rain is cold, it has great benefits. Ning Fan closed his eyes and walked in the rain. His original eagerness to reach the 3rd level was gradually diluted by the rain. The rain seemed to be able to evoke the memories from the bottom of one's heart and arouse one's melancholy. This was the divine ability of a cultivator above the spirit-severing realm. Scenes of the past emerged in front of Ning Fan's eyes. His state of mind was improving at an undetectable speed in the rain. This rain could nourish one's heart. His face remained unchanged, but a trace of shock gradually rose in his heart. The old ancestor of Sinister Sparrow sect from the upper world had such a high cultivation base. No one knew how many tens of thousands of years had passed, but the divine intent of rain still hadn't dissipated. It could even nourish one's heart. At the moment when Ning Fan's heart was as tranquil as still water, the dense sound of the rain seemed to condense into an old voice, ringing in Ning Fan's ears. The rain is born in the sky and dies on the earth. The process of flowing in between is the life of the rain. This sentence contained a sigh that was hidden in the void spirit intent of the rain. When Ning Fan's heart was as tranquil as still water, he heard this sigh. Well said. He halted his steps, raised his head and looked at the rain. Looking at the trajectory of the raindrops, he fell into deep thought. A moment later, he revealed an inexplicable smile and strode through the curtain of rain. Xueqing, let's go to the 2nd level to watch the rain. Yes. The 1st level of Dark Sparrow's grave had no end, but somewhere in the middle of it, there was a 3,000 zhang deep pit. It was the entrance to the 2nd level. Both of them jumped into the pit one after another. A sense of weightlessness suddenly emerged in their hearts. The pit seemed to be affected by some mysterious force that forbade them from flying. Both of them fell down like meteors. Below them was a 3,000 zhang wide rain pond. This rain pond was quite mysterious. The force of their fall was incomparably strong, but when it was blocked by the rain chi of the pond, it vanished without a trace. Ning Fan and Xueqing took a few steps in the void, flew out of the rain pond, and stood on the shore. It was still raining all around. In the darkness, one could vaguely see blood-red beastly eyes. There are some harmonious spirit demons in the 2nd level of Dark Sparrow's grave. This place is no longer suitable for cultivation. Master, let's go to the 3rd level at once. Don't get entangled with these demons. Xueqing looked at the distant eyes in the dark with deep fear. There were hundreds of them, and each of them was a harmonious spirit expert. Even Xueqing couldn't protect himself when hundreds of harmonious spirit demons attacked at the same time. The only thing he could do was to flee. But when he looked carefully, he could see a trace of fear and dread in those beastly eyes. Don't be afraid. They won't dare to come close. This rain pond is interesting. Does the rain of Dark Sparrow's grave originate from this pond? This place has a very strong void spirit intent. Ning Fan's eyes were fixed on the rain pond. Not only was the rain chi rising from the 3,000 zhang wide rain pond, but there were also clouds rising from it. Immortal clouds with high spiritual chi once again condensed into illusory forms. His eyes swept across the immortal clouds. These immortal clouds were naturally formed. Each of them was engraved with 2 cloud marks. Each of them had the quality to refine the natal immortal cloud. Unfortunately, each of them was illusory and dissipated after condensing for a moment. All of a sudden, his eyes turned solemn. Among all the illusory immortal clouds, there was only one that didn't disperse. This cloud seemed to have been nurtured by the rain chi of the rain pond for countless years. Ning Fan didn't know why it didn't disperse. The reason why the other immortal clouds dispersed as soon as they were formed was because this cloud had seized the cloud chi to nurture the cloud Mark's. For Mark's immortal cloud, and the quality of this cloud is even higher than by Fading's cloud, if I can get this cloud, Ning Fan's heart was slightly moved. The cultivation of escaping technique wasn't something that could be improved in a day or two, but as for the immortal cloud, if he could get the 4 Mark's immortal cloud and refine it as his natal immortal cloud, it would be rare for anyone below the nascent soul realm to catch up with his speed. He took a step forward and reascended the rain pond to retrieve the cloud in the distance. But as soon as he took a step forward, he suddenly recalled something and retracted his step. No, the cloud wouldn't seize the cloud chi by itself, there must be something helping this cloud to seize the cloud chi of the other immortal clouds, there must be something hiding above the rain pond. Ning Fan's spirit sense quietly dived into the rain pond. Immediately, a trace of cold force froze his spirit sense. With a glimpse, Ning Fan seemed to have seen the shadow of a giant beast in the rain pond, his eyes revealed a trace of shock. His spirit sense had already condensed into sword sense, but it was still frozen. What kind of ferocious beast was hiding under the rain pond? How could it have such cold force? And that demonic beast, could it be a nascent-souled demonic beast? This cloud couldn't be seized, although the treasure was precious, one must be alive to enjoy it. He retracted his fiery gaze and said to Xueqing, "Let's go to the 3rd level, we can't go anymore." Xueqing replied with a bitter smile. The eyes of the demonic beasts that were hiding in the dark glowed with red light as they walked out. There were hundreds of them, all of them were harmonious spirit realm. Each of them had a strange appearance and dense demonic chi. They had white skin, 4 legs, blood-red eyes, a single horn and a long tail that looked like an icy whip with an inverted hook. Rain beast? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. This kind of demonic beast only appeared in ancient times. He didn't expect to see some of them in this place. However, no matter how many rain beasts there were, Ning Fan wasn't afraid of them. His sword sense and sword sense were best at dealing with enemies in groups. As long as there weren't any intermediate gold core demonic beasts among the rain beasts, it would be futile no matter how many of them there were. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's eyes glinted with cold light. When he was about to cast out his sword sense, there was a sudden change. Within the rain pond, an indistinct divine will was faintly discernible. When all of the rain beasts sensed this divine will, the redness in their eyes disappeared. They let out a few obedient howls, as if they were trying to please someone, and then dispersed. The spirit sense had reached the intermediate nascent soul realm. Xueqing couldn't sense it, but Ning Fan could. His eyes turned solemn as he looked at the rain pond. He was even more convinced that there was something powerful hidden in the pond. He was curious, but Ning Fan wasn't stupid enough to check it out. Curiosity was the worst thing in the cultivation world. They left? Master, what did you do? Xueqing was puzzled. Just now, the rain beasts were about to attack, but when Ning Fan's eyes turned cold, they all fled. Naturally, Xueqing gave Ning Fan the credit of scaring away the rain beasts, which made him even more respectful to Ning Fan. Nothing, let's go to the 3rd level. This place isn't safe to stay for long. Ning Fan's eyes were undetectable. With a hint of fear, he glanced at the rain pond. Under the gloomy rain, the 2 of them hurried to the 3rd level of Dark Sparrow's grave. After Ning Fan left, the discontented voice of a little girl was heard from the rain pond. Didn't that old man run away the last time? Why did he come again this time? And that human, what kind of magical technique did he want to cast just now? Why do I feel that he wanted to kill all the rain beasts in an instant? Humph. Just now, he was looking at my sister Yun with a lustful and malicious gaze. They have gone to the 3rd level, should I go and scare them, hee hee. Chapter 114. It was raining in the second level of Dark Sparrow's grave. For some unknown reason, the rain beasts in the dark didn't attack Ning Fan and Xue Qing anymore. Xue Qing couldn't understand all of this, but he attributed all the credit to Ning Fan. Master isn't only a fourth revolution pill master, but he can also defeat revered Bai and the rain beast. Although he's still young, he's more than qualified to be my master. Xue Qing's mentality was vaguely changing. Previously, the reason why he acknowledged Ning Fan as his master was to cheat some concoction techniques from him. But now, he was sincerely willing to learn from Ning Fan and cultivate diligently from the beginning. Not only would he cultivate his concoction techniques, but he would also cultivate his magical power realm and his mental state. Ning Fan's eyes were moved when he looked at the rain pond. Xue Qing guessed that there must be a treasure in the pond that attracted Ning Fan's attention. To Ning Fan, who had a supreme grade magical treasure, even the myriad soul banner didn't catch his eye. Therefore, anything that caught his eye must be something good. However, he still left the rain pond. This undoubtedly indicated that there was something that Ning Fan dreaded in the pond. Being able to leave with a straight face in front of a precious treasure was something that Xue Qing couldn't achieve. Under the protection of a dozen black towers, there was a staircase of floating clouds that extended downwards, leading to the dark underground. Ning Fan stopped in front of the huge pit and closed his eyes, feeling the rain in front of him. This time, Xue Qing imitated Ning Fan. He closed his eyes and felt the rain. He suddenly realized that the rain had a special intent that could nourish one's heart and enhance one's mental state. It was a pity that Xue Qing couldn't see what that intent was no matter how hard he tried. But compared to the other elders of Sinister Sparrow sect who entered the grave, Xue Qing was the luckiest. Apart from Ning Fan, he was afraid that he was the first one to realize that the rain could enhance one's mental state. Nothing in the surroundings entered Ning Fan's mind. His mind was immersed in the drizzle, trying to hear the insights left by Kei Shensi in the second level of the grave. Gradually, the sound of the rain became quiet. There was no longer any sound of rain in the world. At this time, a scene seemed to emerge in Ning Fan's mind through the sparse rain. A black-robed old man whose face couldn't be seen was holding a paper umbrella and walking in the rain. The sky is divided into 4 oceans, and the earth is divided into 9 realms. In the middle is the rain realm, where it rains incessantly. The rain was born in the sky and died in the earth. The reason why the rain died was not because of the death of the body, but the death of the heart. His body would turn into clouds and return to the sky. However, when his heart fell into the mortal world, it shattered. When the shattered raindrops gathered again, would it still be him? A rain consisted of billions of raindrops. Although they looked the same, each of them had its own unique charm. Although their bodies were the same, their Tao was ultimately different. From now on, this place will be the Sinister Sparrow sect. The scene ended abruptly. Ning Fan slowly opened his eyes. There was a trace of confusion and blankness in his eyes. Even though the words of the old man on the first floor were profound, it was still difficult to move Ning Fan's heart. In the second layer, the old man comprehended once more. He seemed to sigh as he merged the sorrow of his life into the rain. Why did Kei Shensi appear in the rain immortal world? Was it the same as when he sighed at the rain? The rain was knocked down from the sky and he was knocked down to the mortal world. Therefore, Kei Shensi developed a unique insight in the rain. He was afraid that Kei Shensi's footprints could be found in every level of Dark Sparrow's grave. Kei Shensi had once comprehended the divine intent of rain in this place. It was highly possible that it was this insight that revived Kei Shensi's ambition and allowed him to return to the 4 heavens immortal world. Given Ning Fan's intelligence, he could easily deduce so many secrets. It was almost the same as the truth. His eyes revealed a pensive look as he looked at the rain in the sky. He began to understand why the billions of raindrops in the world were different from each other. There was only one type of divine intent of rain, but it could be divided into countless types, because the birth of a divine intent not only required the Tao of heaven and earth, but also one's own Tao to merge into the divine intent. Although the rain was the same, cultivators had different experiences and insights. Therefore, the divine intent of rain that they condensed was also different. The first level of insight didn't move Ning Fan because it didn't incorporate Kei Shenxi's experience. The second level of insight touched Ning Fan slightly because the resentment in Kei Shenxi's heart was stirred. How could Ning Fan's heart not be moved by this? The most precious thing in Dark Sparrow's grave wasn't the pill devil, the profound yin qi, or the coldness that could increase one's cultivation speed. It might not even be the immortal bone of Dark Sparrow in the 9th level. To Ning Fan, the most precious thing was the remnant image of Tao enlightenment in the rain. The 3rd level, what has Kei Shenxi actually comprehended? Ning Fan's eyes glinted. With a step, he stepped into the huge pit and the immortal cloud that led to the 3rd level. He could vaguely feel that he would gain an unimaginable harvest in this trip. If I walk the path of Senior Kei Shenxi, would I be able to comprehend the divine intent of rain? If I succeed. His eyes were blazing. In Xue Qing's point of view, although Ning Fan had only exerted 1% of the Eastern Ocean Bell's power, Ning Fan had indeed activated this magical treasure with his peak harmonious spirit magical power. The bell chime was like a devil's voice that shook people's hearts. Under Ning Fan's control, it rang in the hearts of the 7 gold core demonic beasts. The 6 early gold core demonic beasts fainted from the bell chime. As for the intermediate gold core demonic beast, it was dizzy and frightened. How would it dare to peep at Ning Fan? There might be a demon lord in this place. Don't kill indiscriminately, but don't let it bully you. Ning Fan's tone was solemn as he patted the 300 meters giant bell. The bell turned back into a small golden bell and returned to his palm. Ning Fan was satisfied with the power of the Eastern Ocean Bell. With 1% of its power, Ning Fan was able to defeat early gold core demonic beasts and intimidate intermediate gold core demonic beasts. This was the result of Ning Fan controlling the power of the magical treasure. If he wanted to, he could kill the 6 early gold core demonic beasts and severely injure the intermediate gold core demonic beast. This was the power of a supreme rank magical treasure. If the power of this treasure was fully activated, Ning Fan would be able to exert the power of a nascent soul expert. Hiss. Master and Revered Bai seemed to be having a hard battle, but it turns out that Master still has such a powerful trump card. If Master uses all his trump cards, could he easily kill Revered Bai? Xue Qing was slightly shocked. The wails of the 6 demonic beasts fell into his ears. Each of them had a magical power that was a notch stronger than his. A single attack was able to stun 6 gold core demonic beasts. Was this Ning Fan's hidden terrifying strength? According to Ning Fan, there seemed to be a demon lord in this place. Xue Qing shivered and thought to himself, could that demon lord be the pill devil? Ning Fan didn't kill the demonic beasts because he had some concerns. The rain pawn demonic beast that he encountered in the 2nd level of Dark Sparrow's grave gave him a strong sense of crisis. Moreover, those rain beasts seemed to obey the command of that demon. It was highly possible that they were its subordinates. As for that demon, its cultivation base was obviously higher than Ning Fan's, but it didn't kill them. Instead, it dispersed the demonic beasts and cleared the path for Ning Fan. Although it couldn't be considered as kindness, it could be considered as good intention. Therefore, Ning Fan didn't recklessly kill the demonic beasts in this place. It was a form of fear, but it was also a form of reciprocation. He kept the Eastern Ocean Bell and ignored Xue Qing's astonishment. Instead, he raised his head and looked at the gloomy and wet sky. Why isn't there any rain in this place? Why? His eyes revealed an extremely perplexed look. According to his deduction, Kei Shenxi should have advanced further in the 3rd level that year. Without rain, how could there be enlightenment? Or perhaps it was precisely because there was no rain that there would be enlightenment. Traces of wetness made Ning Fan's heart turn cold. Instantly, Ning Fan revealed a half-guessing look and closed his eyes. Xue Qing, don't disturb me. He left an order and shut his 6 senses. The only thing he didn't shut was his spirit sense. This was the instinct of a cultivator to protect himself. In the darkness, Ning Fan began to comprehend the Tao while Xue Qing's scalp was getting numb. The surrounding cold air and the desolate white bones all touched his nerves, reminding him of the blood-covered face of the woman. Pill Devil. Pill Devil won't appear, right? He smiled bitterly. He was an early gold core cultivator. How could he show such a fearful look? He must have lived his life in a dog's stomach. Hee, what's there to be afraid of, Pill Devil? Don't be afraid. I'll also close my eyes and comprehend like master, but how can I comprehend without rain? He closed his eyes with a hollow laugh, as if this dry laugh could boost his courage. But at the next moment, Xue Qing clearly felt a soft but cold little hand on his shoulder. I hate it so much, the miserable voice of a woman resounded behind him. In an instant, Xue Qing's hair stood on end. Not good, it's a Pill Devil. What kind of cultivation base does she have to be able to get so close to me without any qi? Xue Qing gritted his teeth and looked back. Behind him, he saw a woman with a pale face full of blood. She revealed a strange smile and white teeth, looking at him and licking her long tongue, as if she was looking at a delicacy. Moss, master. Xue Qing wanted to warn Ning Fan. Don't make a fuss, just play with her. Don't disturb me. Ning Fan sensed the female ghost with his spirit sense, then retracted his spirit sense. What? Let me play with her, play with her. She will eat me. Xue Qing showed a helpless look. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.